Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei failed the entrance exam of Kuoh Academy and went to Nanyo Academy Ikkitousen Part 1. Before we start, please go support DavidArmandoLopezRey for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Prologue. The power to defy destiny. Train destination. Nanyo. At this time of today, we found ourselves on the train full of people where we were heading to a region called Kanto, one of the points from which this transport had left a few minutes ago from a well-known city, Kuoh. There is an explanation that was very relevant in this sense. We can see in one of the positions of this train, a 16-year-old boy, brown hair, honey-colored eyes, comes from the city where he had grown up, Kuoh. Apparently that boy was not all happy. It's about Issei Hyodou, who has a downcast look. He has his head down and couldn't find anything better than looking at the floor of the train. He was wearing an academy uniform, a white short-sleeved shirt, an orange sweater, black pants and white and blue sports shoes. However, it wasn't what he was expecting to wear in his first year at school. How can this world be such a cruel place? The brown-haired boy said sadly and then sighed, even though his plans to help Kuoh get a harem that way had completely vanished. The reason why he is in that state is because he had failed the entrance exam. The brown-haired boy did not know what had happened at that moment of that misfortune. He was very sure that he answered all the questions, enough to be able to enter the Kuoh Academy. Worst of all, his older brother Isamu did manage to enter the academy. Perhaps in this horrible world there is not even justice, so I can fulfill my dream, was what the boy thought inside. There must be a mistake here. It's impossible that those two were able to enter Kuoh. Well, I was able to get in, the brown-haired boy said to himself. He saw that it was his only possible explanation of him. To tell the truth, Issei had a reason for this, even though he couldn't confirm this. There is a real explanation for what happened. It is because of a mistake that the person responsible for this act made the boy be on this train and not somewhere else. What happened was that when they were grading the entrance exam grades, a teacher who was too tired from overwork the night before mistook Issei Hyodou's exam for a certain Issei Katsuo. The final point was that the brown-haired boy couldn't enter, and if he really wanted to attend the Kuoh Academy, he would have to take transfer exams in the middle of the year, so he would be left without an education and wouldn't be able to enter. Issei had no other option but to agree to enroll in an academy in the Kanto area to study until it was time to transfer. Since it was a bit far from where the brown-haired boy lived, he had to get up very early to take the train station, which was a bit annoying, so the idea of the brown-haired boy having to live somewhere near his new school when he must be present, he still had a few months to find a home in the Kanto area. Well, with the events that have happened, nothing has been going well in Issei Hyodou's life, but perhaps the wheel of fate that played on him was not going to be cruel at all at that moment. "Why does a boy as young as you look so discouraged?" said a voice that turned out to be very feminine. However, the brown-haired boy was still too focused on his own thoughts that he didn't hear the girl's words. If he had, he would have been in for a very pleasant surprise, but at the same time, Issei would be lucky that the person talking to him wasn't one of those who gave up so easily. "Hey, I'm talking to you, at least pay attention to a girl when she talks to you in front of you," the girl said in a scolding tone. And that was when the brown-haired boy realized that a girl was talking to him, slowly raising her head, and then he was fascinated by what was in front of her honey-colored eyes. It is about a girl who is the same age as Issei, green hair with two short pigtails on both sides that reach her shoulders, eyes of the same color, skin a little darker than normal and a uniform from another academy, a long-sleeved shirt and a skirt, both burgundy in color, white stockings and brown shoes. From Issei's point of view, the enormous eyes of the girl's shirt that was slightly open could be seen. She was clearly inspired by innocence. However, the brown-haired boy did not let a small thing like this be a big thing. The beauty of that girl was simply dazzling to his taste. Was the only thing the brown-haired boy could think of to say, who had mesmerized and hypnotized her with his eyes directly on her girl's breasts. But the girl, instead of being bothered by the brown-haired boy's reaction, merely laughed a little, as if it was already natural to receive that kind of looks. "I ask you why you look so discouraged," the green-haired girl asked again, who sat next to Issei. It took the brunette a few seconds of quickly thinking in his mind to compose himself, but he managed it before the silence became uncomfortable on the train. "Well, it's because I failed my entrance exam for the Kuoh Academy that I wanted to enter," said the brunette, who did his best not to look at that girl's breasts, but he was quite bad at pretending not to look at her. The green-haired girl knew from the beginning that the brunette was looking at her breasts. She didn't try to correct him. For some reason that boy captured her interest in her, so she wasn't going to give importance to something like those looks. "I see, that's a pity," the green-haired girl replied. "I'm fine, there's no need to be depressed, I'm sure I'll do well at my new school," said the brown-haired boy, who was now trying not to fall down in front of the girl. Out of nowhere a beautiful girl with big breasts appeared and was talking to him. The brunette wouldn't let such a strange opportunity like this go to waste. He had to make a good impression, although he didn't realize that the girl already knew that the brunette was looking at her breasts, which didn't bother her. The green-haired girl's response was the following. "Ah ha ha," a laugh at Issei's sudden change of mood. "You are really interesting in this," said the girl. The brown-haired boy was happy because it was the first time that the girl didn't walk away thinking he was weird. Then he had the chance to talk to her. "I haven't introduced myself, my name is Issei Hyodou, it's a pleasure," said the brown-haired boy enthusiastically, offering his hand to the girl. "Ryofūhausen, nice to meet you," the girl named Ryofu replied, accepting Issei's hand from her. The brown-haired boy was going to say something else, but the green-haired girl's green eyes realized something important. "This is where I get off," said the girl, apparently she had reached the station where she had to get off to leave. Hearing that, the brown-haired boy became discouraged since his chance to know more about the green-haired girl was over. "Ice-kun, I forgot to ask you," said something the green-haired girl. The reason why she spoke to the brown-haired boy first was because she felt something special about him. "Do you have a magatama?" I asked. "Magatama?" said the brown-haired boy with a confused face. That reaction was enough for Ryofu to know that Issei knew nothing about magatama or fighting warriors. "I see it doesn't matter anyway," the green-haired girl thought mysteriously. "I hope we see each other again," and with that she gets up from the seat where the brown-haired girl is. The green-haired girl got off the train to continue on her way, but now she is a little interested in that boy. It was a shame that he didn't have a magatama, but still his instinct told him that this boy was special in some way. By now it would be fun if they met again. The train doors close and with that Ryofu was gone. "Yes, I also hope we see each other again, Ryofu-chan," said the brown-haired boy in a soft voice, looking at the window where the green-haired girl was walking. That girl had already stayed in Issei's mind and he would hardly ever forget that beautiful image. The train then began to leave to head to the next station, but the brown-haired boy had realized something very important. "Wait, that was my way out," the brown-haired boy exclaimed, remembering when he had gone into that state of fascination that the green-haired girl had left him in. His first day at school and things were getting complicated in Issei's youthful life. Nanyo Academy. Entrance. The chestnut had arrived at the doors where he would attend classes for a full semester, not counting from when he left the next station. He had to get off the train in a hurry to get there on time. He met someone quite unexpected. It is about a girl with orange hair that reaches her back, aquamarine eyes, peach skin, and she is wearing a violet one-piece dress. "She has a very attractive body," the brown one declared after seeing her just once. "Beautiful." In a fraction of a few seconds after the brunette noticed the girl's face, his eyes lowered a little to see something that really made his hopes rise. In fact, he thought that studying here wouldn't be bad at all. On his first day in Kanto, first it was that green-haired girl on the train, and then this orange-haired girl appears. They both have quite large breasts. She was just Issei's type of girl and taste. First Ryofu and now this girl. The brown-haired boy had found two women with nice breasts in a single day, but at least he was starting to feel less sad about attending the Kuoh Academy. However, the brown-haired boy quickly remembered that that girl was surrounded by all the boys of this academy, who were noticeable that they were not too friendly. Let's say good for the brown-haired boy, he was not a fighter, nor did he have experience in hand-to-hand combat. He was not going to let them go and hit that girl who had just entered this place. When the brown-haired boy was about to go to the girl's side to try to stop that fight. POW. The sound was heard on the stage. It's because the orange-haired girl had just used a single blow on one of the boys that left him unconscious in a few seconds, who tried to attack her first. "What?" was the only thing the brown-haired boy managed to say, seeing the ease with which that girl had defeated that boy on the floor. After that, then more people swung at the orange-haired girl to attack, who was showing her great combat skill that she began to fight, defeating everyone one by one, very easily. "Incredible," said the brown-haired boy, who was surprised and entertained by seeing how the orange-haired girl continued fighting, now with a kind of long braid that was kicking, but nevertheless he was still defeated as if nothing by the girl. For a few minutes, Issei heard her introduce herself as Hakufu-san Saku. Since then, after defeating the braided guy, the orange-haired girl jumped backwards, but when she was about to lose her balance, a blonde-haired boy with a stalker look stood behind her to prevent her from falling. For some reason, the brown-haired boy felt a restlessness in his body when he saw the moving hands of that dull blonde boy who had caught the orange-haired girl. He knew what position he was about to do when those hands meant that something was going to happen, but that boy wouldn't dare to do it in front of the public that was around him, right? But the brown-haired boy's fears and worries were confirmed. To his total envy that he feels at this moment, the guy grabbed the orange-haired girl's breasts. For a moment time slowed down for Issei, as if his mind couldn't understand what had happened, or rather it was happening in front of his honey eyes. Waist 65 centimeters, breasts 93, said the boy who was squeezing the orange-haired girl's breasts. They're quite grown up, said the supposed stalker. You got it right, said to a surprised orange-haired girl, who didn't look angry at the boy for groping her. Apparently she's naive, an idiot or quite stupid when she finds herself in this type of situation. Although that girl was not angry, the brunette was certainly upset by an uncontrollable envy of what he was seeing in that scene. That damn degenerate son of a, said the brown-haired boy, cursing mentally. Reminds me of my bastard older brother. You're an underwear salesman, right? The orange-haired girl asked the blonde, who confirmed that she is different from the rest. Suddenly she remembered that she had things to do, and she walked away from the guy to get into a combat stance. The orange-haired girl demanded another opponent. There he emerged from the crowd of boys, a guy who was 3 times taller than the girl, a muscular body from a bodybuilder, dark brown hair combed back, wearing the academy uniform, looking at the orange-haired girl with a sour face. What happened next was a somewhat comical and funny exchange between the orange-haired girl and the huge guy. I'm sorry, I think I dropped it somewhere, said the orange-haired girl while looking for something. What did you drop? The huge guy asked with a 20 starting to throb on his forehead due to the ridiculous scene he was seeing. T worry, I wrote my name on it, declared the orange-haired girl triumphantly at her idea. Hey! Shouted the huge guy, who was starting to get annoyed once again. I wrote it in small handwriting and oil paint, but I think it can be read well, said the orange-haired girl with an air of innocence, which she desperately searched for on her dress or on the floor. You're not angry, right? We can fight, even if I don't have that stupid object. The brown-haired boy becomes curious when he hears that word, since a few minutes ago the green-haired girl also mentioned that object, and apparently the giant has one of those in his left ear. Apparently the magatama was a very important object. Because of that, the huge student became very irritated as the orange-haired girl kept looking for her belonging to her that was given to her by her mother. Stupid object. The guy looked pretty angry. In the end it concluded when the huge guy told the orange-haired girl that she must throw a punch which she would receive without any complaint. Try to kick me, don't hold back, the male subject declared. But I don't like hitting people who don't defend themselves, said the orange-haired girl. Stop talking and hit me already, the guy shouted furiously at the orange-haired girl. Finally she did what she had to do. With one movement a powerful kick hit the left side of the subject. That kick was accompanied by a breeze which made the fabric of her dress rise to a little, showing white underwear of the orange-haired girl. The brown-haired girl, for his part, had no complaints at all about the generous sight that this wind in his eyes. However, that huge guy didn't seem affected or fazed by the blow of that kick, which made the brunette impressed that someone like him didn't show a gesture of pain from that attack. But then the huge guy simply grabbed the orange-haired girl's leg, where it was at the ribs, and threw him into the air. The brown-haired boy, barely realizing what was going to happen, the guy with his right fist hit the orange-haired girl's stomach, sending her flying in the direction of the wall. Careful, exclaimed the brown-haired boy, who sprang into action, seeing that the orange-haired girl was going to get hurt by the impact of the wall. By pure instinct, he had to move at full speed to avoid her getting hurt. Unfortunately it was too late for the young man. The orange-haired girl's body is crashing into the wall of the wall, which is causing cracks to break. Crack. When everyone noticed the presence of the brown-haired boy, who had gone unnoticed since the entrance of the academy, it was because the orange-haired girl had taken all the attention of the day. The boy understood that if he had been badly hurt at that moment, he wouldn't be able to catch the girl, but he would still have done his best to do so. The huge guy and all the boys leave the place, going into the academy, leaving Issei and Hakufu alone in the place. Hey, are you okay? Asked a brown-haired boy, worried about the state the orange-haired girl was in. Despite being a bit of a pervert, he couldn't leave this girl hurt, even though she was wearing the dress she was wearing, so he could see certain details on the orange-haired girl's body. That's why Hakufu-sansaku made one last smile before falling unconscious to the floor. Meanwhile in the upper corridors. At this moment we can see in the halls of the Kanto Academy, a boy who was leaning against the wall relaxing a little. It is the same guy who grabbed the orange-haired girl's breasts a few minutes ago. On the way there is the huge subject heading towards him, starting the conversation between the two. Saji, the guy said politely to the aforementioned. Fighting a girl that's not like you, Gaku-chan, the blonde said relaxedly. HMP, I just gave her a test to see if she was the guy said, but was interrupted by the blonde. The warrior from the inland plains, who on the battlefield will become the supreme conqueror, the boy contemplated. It's just a legend, I know, but the guy answered once again. You're interested, huh? Said the blonde. Can you face her, without Enshin's permission from her? Do what you want, you're nothing more than a lapdog, declared Gakushu while he thought for a bit. What's wrong, Gaku-chan, why are you so worried? Let me guess, is it because of that girl from a moment ago? Said the blonde, and the guy's gaze narrowed. Don't talk nonsense, the guy said, trying to keep walking until suddenly. Ah. Without warning he fell to his knees on the floor, he felt a great pain in his left side in the area where the girl hit. Kikushu remembered the orange-haired girl's kick. It's impossible. How? The guy said, panting. Her last name is not Sansaku by chance, the blonde declared. What did you say, Saji? Kikushu said in a painful voice. In response, the blonde took out a green magatama from one of his pockets, which said Hakufu Sansaku written in oil ink that is a little blurry. Saji had stolen it when he was groping the orange-haired girl's breasts. It can't be, the guy said in shock while the blonde turned around leaving Kikushu alone on his knees. Nursing. The orange-haired girl was having a dream. A dream about her mother and the day she received the magatama before leaving Tokyo. She was sleeping on one of the beds in the infirmary, which is why the brown-haired boy had some problems finding this room, because he didn't know where it was located. Issei for his part was looking at the sleeping orange-haired girl, watching from next to the bed sitting in a chair. He saw how the dress she was wearing, let it be seen that she was wearing a bra. A pervert like Issei is, there were even things that he wouldn't do that act, so he limited himself to observing the girl. From then on the orange-haired girl's aquamarine eyes began to open. "You're awake," said the brunette in a happy tone, and also surprised by the girl's resistance. The orange-haired girl was still half asleep, and because of that she thought the brown-haired boy was someone else. She did it faster than Issei could react. She gave him a hug and began to apologize. I'm sorry, forgive me mom," said the orange-haired girl, starting to apologize. Not realizing that it was Issei in front of him and not his mother, he gave our protagonist a big hug. It's not as if the brown-haired man was in a position to complain about something, on the contrary, he was visibly happy about this, especially with the orange-haired girl's breasts directly against his chest. Merely for Issei it was a sensation that he felt for the first time, and it really was the best. "Do not spank me with that ruler, and do not make me do my homework either," shouted the orange-haired girl, who still does not realize that her mother is not here. "T tie me up with that leash and lock me in a dark place," she said in her voice. She sounded scared. Issei slightly wondered mentally what kind of person Hakufu's mother must be, because even a girl as strong as her can be scared of her mother. However, for him. "Ah, so this is the size of her breasts on her to Ella. She really is my type," murmured the brunette who was trapped in his own fantasy of Ella. He didn't want this great moment to end so soon. The orange-haired girl, hearing Ella's boy's voice, realized for a few seconds that Ella's mother was not coming in here. "Huh?" said the orange-haired girl, who is confused, realizing that she is in an infirmary with a brown-haired boy whom she had seen before fainting from the giant's blow. "Ah," said the brown-haired boy, who realized that the orange-haired girl had stopped believing that he was someone else and not his mother. However, the boy did not want to waste this opportunity to get close to the orange-haired girl. "My name is Issei Hyodou, nice to meet you," he said in a tone as if he were a gentleman. Hakufu for his part just looked at the boy with curiosity. After a few minutes later, the brown-haired man told the orange-haired girl about the wounds from the impact of that wall. She took advantage of this moment and presented herself before the boy and thanked him for helping to bring her to this room. The orange-haired girl also explained to her that her mother had told her that she had to defeat 30 people on the first day to take control of this academy, and among other things in her life, she mentioned that she should seek revenge against that huge guy and that she was determined to fight that opponent once again. In fact, the orange-haired girl made many movements with her fists and also said that she was excited and happy to have come to this academy, although the brown-haired girl had noticed how her movements made her dress almost fall off and only her breasts were being avoided. At this moment the orange-haired girl said that now her goal was to become number one, that she will have to fight against very strong people who possess those jewels. The brown-haired boy asked her what that magatama was about, which alarmed her when she desperately searched for her object from her dress, even the part where her dress rises, showing her intimate part, which made the boy almost have a nosebleed from that act. The orange-haired girl told the brown-haired boy that if he has that jewel, what he answered was no. That made her panic. She had lost her magatama. If her mother finds out about that, she did not want to know what kind of punishment she is going to do when she sees her again. While they were still arguing, something interrupted him. "Hello," said a new voice, greeting the brown-haired boy and the orange-haired girl, who were at the entrance of the infirmary. "Ah, the underwear seller from before," the orange-haired girl said happily, recognizing the person. Issei for his part did not trust that guy at all. That made the blonde notice the new student, which he introduced himself. "I'm Saji Genpu, one of the 4 divas. Nice to meet you," said the blonde. "Issei Hyodou," the brown-haired boy declared in a serious tone. "By the way, I came to give you this," said the blonde, who simply returned an object in the air that turned out to be a green magatama, which made the girl catch it with her hands. "My magatama," said the orange-haired girl, who was checking where her breasts were, which she used as a necklace, and then looked sideways at the blonde. "You stole it from me," the orange-haired girl accused Saji. You're wrong, it was all a misunderstanding, you pounced on me, so I took it so you wouldn't drop it and lose it, that's all, said the blonde. What a lame excuse, the brown-haired boy and the orange-haired girl thought at the same time respectively. Well, thank you, I was saved from the scolding of my mother who would punish me for this, you don't know how hard it can be, said the orange-haired girl. Treat her with care, it's proof that you are a warrior, said the blonde to the orange-haired girl, then looked at the brown-haired girl. Take care, Hyodou-sen after he left the place leaving the boys. Goodbye, the brown-haired boy said in an unfriendly whisper so that no one would hear. And so they continued the conversation on this particular afternoon of this day at the Kuoh Academy. In the streets of Nanyo, afternoon. Issei and Hakufu were walking through the streets of the city, school had ended today, and the brown-haired boy must take the train to return home to Kuoh, but the orange-haired girl next to him mentioned that from now on, he will live in an apartment that was a few kilometers near the station, so the young people will be able to walk together calmly when they leave the academy. The boy had helped the girl take her to the infirmary, even though that meant getting to class on the first day, the conclusion was that the orange-haired girl ended up liking the brown-haired girl. Although the girl has an air of innocence a retard, the orange-haired girl did not notice that the brown-haired girl, blushing, was looking at her breasts from time to time. Now the brown-haired girl asked the orange-haired girl who she would live with in that apartment since she was new to the city. She replied that she is going to live alone, but originally she wanted to stay with her childhood cousin who would take care of Nanyo and was supposed to receive him on this day. And what happened to your cousin? Said the brown-haired boy who was curious. They had a sandwich in one of their hands, which he bought at lunchtime. But when I mentioned what had happened to her cousin, the orange-haired girl completely lost her cool for a few seconds. Hakan was willing to receive me today, but he had an accident last week, said the orange-haired girl who looked at the ground, remembering that tragic day that was unexpected for her cousin. Is he okay? The brown-haired boy said. Right now he felt bad for saying that comment, which he was sensitive to see, like the lively and cheerful orange-haired girl to then feel sad and depressed, for which he had asked that question. The car hit him when he was shopping at the market for preparations, the orange-haired girl declares dramatically. His spine was broken and his neck was broken in the windshield in that crash, and now he is in a coma in a Tokyo hospital, she concluded by revealing the fate of her cousin. That really wasn't what Issei expected to hear that. That is to say, in that situation it sounds very unreal in this, as if things had happened in a fast way, of that convenient fact that Hakufu's cousin was not in this present from today, that is why the chestnut has to say something, since the breezes of the wind and the silence, it becomes uncomfortable where the place of the streets reigns. I'm sorry about what happened to your cousin, Hakufu-chan, said the brown-haired boy with a sad tone. The orange-haired girl only nods, but she was still in her dejected state from remembering that horrible memory. The boy is seeing how the atmosphere was getting worse in the streets, he was becoming mute so he could speak, and he had an idea in his mind to change the subject. Hakufu-chan, so you really like to fight, right? Said the brunette, who is trying to start another conversation. When she heard that question, the orange-haired girl became more animated, making her happiness grow definitely high. Yes, I love it, the orange-haired girl said happily. Issei, do you fight too? She asked, seeming excited to know that the brown-haired boy can fight. Huh? Said the brown-haired boy, with his finger pointing at himself. Well, how to say it now, he found himself with a small dilemma which would answer yes or no to the girl. He would really say yes, that he knows how to fight to impress the orange-haired girl. Unfortunately for the brown-haired boy, after seeing the level of those who fought in this region, even those that the girl defeated very easily, would be able to receive the worst beating of his life, he knew that he had to say that those blows would only bring him a lot of pain. I don't fight, I'm not a fan of violence, the boy admitted, shaking his head. He noticed how the orange-haired girl looked at him, which made her a little disappointed, but nevertheless, she quickly cheered up again. In Issei's mind, he didn't know it was a good idea. He reveals that he has suffered from the beatings of his older brother Isamu and his bullies in his childhood until high school. He never defends himself against his abusers. It doesn't matter, that huge guy was very strong, so I can fight against some opponents like him, said the orange-haired girl, raising her fist in the air with a voice full of determination, which really calmed the brown-haired boy. Sure, yes, the boy said reassuredly. Then they both arrived at the place where Issei had to separate to get to the station where he should go to Kuoh. Well, he sighed and then spoke. I have to leave here, said the brown-haired boy, who was a little depressed, since until now he really liked spending time with the orange-haired girl. Yes, she even looked a little sad that the brown-haired boy who had established a nice friendship with him and also kept him company on this day, had to leave. But tomorrow we'll see each other again, and with that the orange-haired girl cheered up and said goodbye to the brown-haired boy, continuing on her way home, while the boy watched her leave. Ikufu-chan, of course we'll see each other tomorrow, said the brown-haired boy with a smile. He was happy about this and had to head towards the train station. He was in very good spirits. Yes, he even jumped for joy at how good things had turned out this day. And so, the first stone of the harem had begun to be laid in one piece. Train destination. Cow. Hikufu-chan is so naive, said the brown-haired boy happily, watching through the train window as the sky is getting dark at nighttime, as he returns home after his first day at the Kanto Academy. But since then, Issei reminded him of something, which made him place his hand on his chin thoughtfully, and since then he started talking. No, I must not forget about Ryofu-chan either, she also has a good size of those breasts and a kind of charm about her. How she became seductive, said the brown-haired boy. That's right, the green-haired girl was more directly and could clearly see the attraction that the boy felt for her. Ryofu was clearly an experienced girl, or at least that was the impression she gave with a seductive touch, but unlike Hikufu, Issei did not know where the green-haired girl would be or he would see her again on this train. But still the impact had been made and the brunette was determined with his dream of having a harem. But he still didn't understand very well the events in which the boy had faced, nor did he know about the Magatamas and the fighting warriors. In the end, the brown-haired boy decided to interfere in the situation, even so he is to be close to the orange-haired girl. And that was how Issei Hyodou realized this, but perhaps he had failed the entrance exam to Kuoh and ended up attending Nanyo, which was a blessing from the heavens. The future of these events, which will occur at this time, will be confirmed when he arrived at the Nanyo region. If he did not possess a Magatama, it would be one of the best moments that they would spend in the chestnut's life. Because for those who are controlled by destiny to continue fighting for their territory, Issei Hyodou was someone who had a true power that lies dormant in his body, which would unleash a battle to break the barriers of his path. The power and strength of being immune to which there are no limits to challenge destiny. Because at this moment, Issei and Hikufu must fight to survive the challenges they will encounter in the path of the warrior angels, who were born from the era of the three kingdoms, who will become the strongest of all. The real fun is about to begin. Clarification after the prologue. One Issei is kicked out of his own house after his high school graduation, but his grandfather Juzo Goru's father left them an apartment for him alone. 2 Issei's childhood will appear as a flashback form, and Juzo Hyodou will also appear later. 3. The awakening of the boosted gear will not only bring the curious, but also the hero faction that will arrive in Kanto later. 4. The other sacred gear that Isamu has is the Black Dragon Yoriyama, who will be Ria's Grimory's pawn when the original events occur. 5. Issei created his own fighting style based on Chinese Kenpo from Kaku, Juzo's teacher friend. Chapter 1. The Sadistic Warrior and the Decree at the Academy Part 1. Night, Nanyo Park. In the evening hours on the streets of Kanto City, we find ourselves in a park where we see 3 people surrounding a subject who seems to be 3 times larger than the others. This is Gakushu, the guy who received the kick from the orange-haired girl from the academy on this first day. He is looking with annoyance at how those boys challenged him to a fight in the middle of his path. Which he accepted to end this fight quickly. The first boy who has a hairstyle slicked back with a Magatama on his left ear, kicks his left foot towards the huge guy's face, but the muscular guy stopped it with a single finger of his left hand before making contact, causing the boy to be stunned as well as his companions. Gakushu, with his left hand, grabbed the boy's leg and threw him to the other side, causing him to crash into a tree hard, leaving him unconscious. The 2 boys began to tremble as they watched a huge guy finish off their partner in a single instant. Next, said Gakushu, watching as the 2 slowly backed away. "Come on, attack me," he demanded of the 2 boys who were scared. "Oh?" said the second boy, surprised, with a scared expression on his face. "Attack me at once," Gakushu shouted, causing the boys to jump at what they heard. "It's a monster," the 2 boys said at the same time, fleeing the park because they were scared of the huge guy. Gakushu was standing watching as those boys ran away from there, leaving his fallen companion. Now he is alone in the night hours of the park. It was something different. No matter how hard I try, I can't get it out of my head, Gakushu thought, meditating on what happened today at the academy, remembering the moment when the orange-haired girl threw that weak kick. This anxiety, no, I think it's terror. Then he looked at his left side where the orange-haired girl hit with her kick. I have to face on Saku again and understand what he is deep in thought when out of nowhere he felt a foot hit him in the face. To be exact, it was a strong kick. POW. Causing him to fly towards the stone wall, crashing heavily. Wham. Now Gakushu is embedded inside the wall. In the hole we see his legs that are outside, stained by small debris, and apparently received serious damage. We see a silhouette that is in front walking normally. When he stopped at one point it is revealed who it is. It was a girl of age 19. Her height is 160 centimeters, short hair that reaches to the shoulders dark blue. Her right eye is green, while the left has a white patch, has a mole on the left side near the mouth, a black strap around the neck with a silver cross necklace. She is wearing a blue French maid outfit, blue gloves, stockings of the same color with white lines and black boots measurements chest. 85, waist. 58 hips. 86. You really are a masochist, said the blue-haired girl, with sarcasm in her words. How boring. Then she licks her index finger with her tongue. How Issei department. Meanwhile in Kuoh City, in an apartment that his grandfather Issei Hyodou had given him after being kicked out of his own house for being useless according to them, and also for not tarnishing the reputation of his older brother. For Issei it is always the same as his older brother Isamu is the favorite of his parents and everyone around him since elementary school until now. The brown-haired boy began to do things on his own like making his breakfast lunch, plus his grandfather Issei left money on his card in Issei's name when he needed it. The brown-haired boy was dressed in a red shirt and black shorts, lying on his bed with his hands behind his head looking at the ceiling. In the boy's mind he thought of the orange-haired girl since he saw her from the entrance of the Nanyo Academy. She apparently got excited and fascinated by fighting against strong people. She has an air of innocence, but sometimes she was silly, but he discovered for himself that she was not stupid, but that girl was innocent and clumsy at the same time. Wow, ever since I started studying at an academy in another region, I couldn't believe that Ikufu-chan had fought against those guys. They look strong, she defeated them with great ease, but when she touched the huge guy, she didn't seem to be affected by the kick that Ikufu-chan did. Issei thought for a moment, and then smiled. What I'm glad about this is seeing how the breeze lifted her dress, from which I saw her white underwear, and in the infirmary I felt the softness of her breasts when she hugged me directly. It was the best. I wonder if on my way I could meet some girls that are to my liking. The brown-haired boy was deep in thought, which was interrupted by the sound of the electric oven. That dinner was ready. My dinner is ready, I better go down before it burns, said Brown when he got up from his bed. I hope that tomorrow I meet Ryofu-chan on the same train I'm on, to tell him something I was curious about, he thought as he left his room to go to the kitchen and then to the dining room. Return to Nanyo Park. Now Gakushu was standing, but in his current state he was hurt. A line of blood was coming out of his nose and mouth. The girl's kick had seriously injured him, while the blue-haired girl looked at him with an amused smile. Suddenly. Gakushu shouted, feeling pain in his left arm. Apparently his triceps brachii had been damaged. The blue-haired girl laughed at how Gakushu knelt with his right hand while holding his left arm. Gakushu moaned in pain as his body began to tremble. If you move you will die, said the blue-haired girl as she fixed her right glove. You have 3 ligaments and 4 joints destroyed. While looking at her gloves. Ryamu, he said big as he looked up to see the aforementioned. Who told you? Was it injutsu? Gakushu asked, moaning in pain. Gakushu, you acted without injutsu permission, she said, now identified as Ryamu. Those who do not act under the will of our leader must be eliminated, he answered Gakushu's question. What's that about? Gakushu asked again. Why is one of the 4 divas scared? I don't know anything about the Supreme Conqueror, but Ryamu said confidently. Saji told you, said Gakushu, fully standing up but with his arm immobilized. It doesn't matter who told me, the blue-haired girl without taking her eyes off Gakushu. I only know that if a person is afraid of a name, he cannot continue being one of the 4 divas, he said as he licked his index finger again. Gakushu gets up to punch the girl with her right hand, but she jumps up and catches her left arm in a wrestling hold. You too? Said Gakushu, trying to free the girl from her grip on her arm, but it was impossible because of the strength she possesses. Hey? Ryamu said barklessly. Are you also afraid of the appearance of the Supreme Conqueror? Said Gakushu. I'm different from you, Ryamu said with an almost manic smile as she squeezed Gakushu's left arm, then. Crack. Gakushu shouted because of how the girl broke his left arm. Ryamu laughed as I released Gakushu's arm from him. Then Gakushu tried to grab the girl with his arms in vain, but she evaded him. Shit, Gakushu cursed himself as his arms were crossed. I'll tell you clearly, Gakushu said the blue-haired girl. When she jumped she took out 2 handcuffs, then. Click. The first handcuff held him on her right wrist. Click. And the second one on her left wrist. Gakushu stands with his arms crossed, his hands being handcuffed by the girl who is in midair. We are of no use to our plans, said Ryamu as she climbed over Gakushu, then placed her feet on his head. Gakushu couldn't move. When the girl pulls his arms which are handcuffed, she makes him strangle himself. By God, you're strangling yourself, said the blue-haired girl who is upside down, while smiling amusingly. What a masochist, he said in the same sadistic tone. Then Gakushu has foam coming out of his mouth. You can barely breathe, and then your eyes will fill with blood, and you will end up losing consciousness. Ryamu said. Ugh, why, Ryamu? Said Gakushu due to the difficulty in speaking when he resisted the girl's strength. I have no doubt that you are strong. You are almost as strong at level A as to Taku or Kakuten, however your attacks don't make me feel the same terror as I felt with Hakufu-san Saku's, he said when he had little consciousness left. Why? Tell me, please, said Gakushu, waiting for Ryamu's answer, but she started laughing. Ha 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 ha. The blue-haired girl's loud laughter was her response. On the other hand, near the park, we see Saji finish drinking his can of soda. He had heard Gakushu scream and the sounds of the fight. His main plan was to use the blue-haired girl to attack Gakushu, and it was the perfect idea he made so far. Ryamu was in love with him after all. He would only use her when she was useful to him. He would subtly manipulate her and then let her go. It seems that Ryamu has done his job, said Saji, relaxing, and then made a relaxed smile and began to walk. How can Shuayu is no longer in this region when his mission was to protect that girl, Hakufu-san Saku. It will be easier to eliminate her, but I must get rid of her new partner, Issei Hyodou. I'll see how things go, he said when he left the place without being seen by a third party. Returning to the park, Ryamu tiredly clenched the handcuffs on his hands, and Gakushu is unconscious on the ground, with foam coming out of his mouth and a line of blood coming out of his eyes. Hakufu-san Saku, said the blue-haired girl when she was catching her breath and leaving Gakushu in the park. The next day, train destination. Nanyo. The brown-haired boy is sitting in the train seat. He looked out the train window to see the cities. Now he was happy. Since yesterday morning he felt sad when he failed to pass the entrance exam to the Kuoh Academy. Then the green-haired girl with a good body appeared when he was glad that she didn't walk away thinking it was weird. Then he saw the orange-haired girl who fought the boys until the giant guy defeated him. She helped take him to the infirmary to treat his wounds, and in the end they became friends. That was one of his best moments for seeing two girls in one day. Ah well, so far so good, said Issei, who is still looking out the window. Of course I do, said the green-haired girl who was standing behind the boy's seat, making him turn his head. Ah hello Ryofu-chan, said the brown-haired boy who is calmly greeting the girl. Hello Ice-kun, you seem to be in a good mood today, said Ryofu, sitting next to the boy. Yes, I am, Issei replied, laughing a little as he scratched the back of his head. How did it go at the academy yesterday? Ryofu asked curiously. Ah well, a lot of things have happened, Issei replied. He didn't want to say that the orange-haired girl had fought against the boys from the academy, but… like the fight that happened in the morning. Ryofu said, making the boy surprised that she figured it out without a problem. How do you know? Issei said, removing his surprise from him. Instinct, Ryofu said normally. I see, Ryofu-chan, can I ask you something, said the brown-haired boy. Of course, said the green-haired girl who was willing to answer Issei's question. Do you know anything about those magatamas that the boys at the academy where I study have in their ears? Issei said, dropping the bomb, causing the girl to remain silent upon hearing that question that the boy asked. So he found out, Ryofu thought, and then started talking. There's something I'm going to tell you about magatamas, Ice-kun, she said when the boy paid attention to what she was going to say. In the last years of the Yuan dynasty, there were the spirits of the legendary heroes who fought for the unification of China, in the era of the Three Kingdoms, are sealed within the ancient gems and were scattered throughout Japan. Those gems, known as the magatamas, have the ability to awaken the enormous dormant power that is in the reincarnations of the ancient Chinese heroes. Men and women from any academy fought within their territory to show who will become the strongest of all, and those people are called warriors, telling the story of the Three Kingdoms and the magatamas to Chestnut. What you're telling me is that those magatamas can desert the warrior who is sleeping inside them, which would unleash a power, said Issei, from whom I have heard the story that the girl told. That's right, Ice-kun, Ryofu said with a sincere smile. When a seal is broken on the magatama, the strongest warrior who has been asleep awakens. I finished telling the story. Now I understand why Hakufu-chan had to defeat 30 people on the first day to take control of the academy, said Issei, something that the girl noticed. Hakufu-chan? Ryofu said. Yes, I met her when I arrived at the entrance of the academy. I took him to the infirmary because he had wounds from the impact of the wall that the huge guy made, said the brown-haired boy. Huge guy? Of being a level B Gakushu, one of the 4 divas of Nanyo, Ryofu thought, until the train stops at the station. Well, I have to go, he said as he got up from the seat where the boy was. Before getting off the train he turned around to talk. You must take care of yourself, Ice-kun, saying a warning to Issei. Who's? Said the brown-haired boy, who was doubtful. From Saji Genpu, Ryofu said when he got off the train to continue on his way. I hope you survive in this region, Ice-kun. The train doors close and then leave for another station. Saji. Why would that be? Issei said to himself because of the girl's words. The Magatama that Hakufu-chan must have a very powerful warrior, I'll find out later, he thought for a second until he remembered something. Ah, I missed my stop again, he said when he forgot to get off the train again. In the streets of Nanyo. The brown-haired boy was running through the streets to go to Nanyo Academy. On the way he met the orange-haired girl. She was carrying the academy's female report, a white shirt with a red ribbon tied around her neck, an orange sweater, a red skirt with some squares, white stockings and dark brown shoes, which she was in a hurry for. Hakufu-chan, said Issei when the aforementioned stopped to turn her head to see her friend. Hello Issei, Hakufu said happily as he waved, causing the boy to wave back. I guess you're in a hurry, said the brunette, arriving next to the girl. I got up late because since the call my mother scolded me when I told her to paint my name on the Magatama, said the orange-haired girl, afraid when she imagined her mother punishing her with a bamboo. I see, said Issei until he stepped on something, surprised he removed his foot from him to see a Magatama which was broken. A Magatama, he said as he grabbed the object from the floor to get a better look at it. A Magatama, someone would drop it, said Hakufu when he saw the object the boy had in his right hand. I don't know, said the brown-haired boy seeing more of the destroyed Magamata. I wonder who it will be? Issei asked. Once you drop it you don't know who it belongs to, that's why I think you should write the names, said Hakufu with a pout. It must be because of a fighter or something like that, said the brown-haired boy, and then he threw the Magatama into the air. From then on, the girl stops and then steps her right foot on the ground when she raises her fist in the air. This is getting interesting, I wonder if I'll get a rematch with the huge guy from the academy or a fight with the fighter, said the orange-haired girl with a smile. Revenge, Issei said as he turned his head to see the girl. Are you planning to fight the guy who defeated you yesterday? She asked her friend about her. No, I won't do it, said the orange-haired girl, causing a drop to come out on the boy's head. She's bad at lying, Issei thought, but he spoke again. Why don't you forget about it? Issei asked as he continued walking. It's just that he hit me quite hard, answered Hakufu a little discouraged. My mother used to tell strange men, you have to return what you borrowed, okay woman? Said the orange-haired woman. It's a different situation, I wonder if Hakufu-chan's mother had such a difficult life, the brown-haired boy thought. She looks like a girl, was Issei's thought of her. I think I should go for the fighter, because he might be stronger than the orange-haired girl told me, looking away as she put her index finger on her chin. While leaving the subject, we must hurry so as not to lose the day of class, Issei said to the orange-haired girl. Okay, Hakufu said, nodding. The brown-haired boy began to run to get to the academy, followed by the girl. Wait for me, Issei said the orange-haired girl as she ran behind the boy. The boy looked over her shoulder to watch her run and noticed how her breasts bounced up and down. Wow, her breasts, she look a little big, thought Issei. He was so distracted that he didn't see a mysterious girl in front of him carrying some books. Careful, said Hakufu, alarming the boy. Huh? Said the brown-haired boy, surprised when he turned his head. It was too late. Hhhh, cried Issei. The girl screamed when she was hit by the boy, causing both of them to fall to the ground along with the books. My head, said Issei, who is a little sore from the fall, but then he touches something soft which causes him to look up to see that his left hand was touching the girl's right breast. How soft, he thought, because of the softness of the girl's chest. The girl moaned. Oh, I'm sorry, said the brown-haired boy, quickly separating himself as he stood up. Excuse me, I didn't pay attention to where I was running, he said apologetically. Me too, I just didn't pay attention to where I was walking, said the girl as she squatted down to pick up her books. Let me help you, Issei said as he knelt down to help the girl. Thank you, said the girl, who accepts the boy's help. When they both grabbed the last book, they looked up at each other. The boy noticed the girl. She was a teenager of 17 years of age. Her height is 161 centimeters, reading glasses in the shape of a circle, green eyes, long and straight brown hair that is tied with 2 orange bows, from which fall both the left and right side, even though she ties it at the bottom of her head. She is wearing a white shirt with blue decorations, a blue skirt, short socks and dark brown shoes. Measurements. Chest. 96, waist. 61 hips. 92. Pretty, the brunette said without thinking, making the girl blush at the boy's compliment. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, Issei said in an embarrassed tone. No, it's okay, said the girl looking away while still having the blush on her cheeks. Issei, said the orange-haired girl when she reached the boy's side. Are you okay? Hakufu asked, worried about the brunette. Yes, it's nothing, said the brown-haired boy as he returned the books to the girl. Here you go, Issei said, picking up the books from the girl with the glasses. Thank you, said the girl as the boy handed her books. Sorry for what happened, I'm Issei Hyodou, a pleasure, introduced to the brown-haired girl. Ryubi Jintoku, nice to meet you, Issei-sen, said the brunette when she introduced herself to the boy with a warm smile. She was different from the orange-haired girl, as she had a childish and silly innocence, but the brunette in front of her has an innocent and cute air in her eyes, and from her tone of voice, we can say that she is shy. Well, if you'll excuse me Ryubi-sen, I have to go, let's go Hakufu-chan. Hakufu-chan? Said Issei when he gets up, he turns around to see the orange-haired girl who is not there. I think she went that way, Ryubi said as he pointed his hand in the direction where the girl went. Oh my gosh, thanks and see you later, said the brown-haired boy as he ran off in the direction the girl had mentioned. See you later Issei-sen, said the brunette when she noticed a black phone on the floor, then she remembered that the boy had forgotten to pick it up. Wait, she said when she tried to stop him with her hand, but it was too late, the young man had already left in a hurry. She picked up the boy's phone on the floor and then got up. I guess I'll give it to him when I see him. Then she puts the phone in her skirt pocket and then continues on her way. Meanwhile, Hakufu continued running to get to the academy. One less, said the orange-haired girl in an amused tone, leaving the boy behind. Rooftop, Nanyo Academy. We see two people, one who is leaning on the iron bar on his back looking at the academy field and another lying on the ground. Enshu from Yashu Academy has been elected leader of the alliance that opposes him, and it seems that Chibaku from Chinryu and Kakonsen from Yashu are interested in joining him, said the blue-haired woman, without looking at the blonde who was behind her listening to the report. And Sasu? Saji asked Ryamu. It has remained silent since each academy has written they're joining the opposition alliance, Ryamu replied. Ah, typical of him, said the blonde, keeping silent. Until Saji broke the silence and spoke. Come on, Ryamu, I could have warned you that I was here, said Saji getting up from the ground. Why Saji? The blue-haired girl asked the blonde. What do you mean? Said the blonde, pretending not to understand the question. Ninjutsu has decreed that Kane be the one to execute Sansaku, said Ryamu. You're finding out early as always, Mu-chan, said the blonde, while the girl doesn't look at her face. Don't try to avoid it, you are Ninjutsu's confidant, there is no way you don't know about these, said the blue-haired girl. Saji kept silent for him to speak. Hansis-chan is one of the best four, answered the blonde. So it's not strange that you receive an order, but he was interrupted by the blue-haired girl. She's just a crazy psychopath who knows Kenpo, Ryamu countered angrily. That sounds good to me, I love your voice when you get angry, that tone of yours fascinates me, was the thought of Saji, who was slowly getting closer to the bald girl. So, have you already thought about your answer regarding going out with me? Saji asked while his arm tries to hug her. But Ryamu looks at him and doesn't believe anything. Okay, what is certain is that Kane has become very strong and stronger than anyone else, said Saji, turning around and leaning on the iron bar. Ryamu is silent while what the blonde said. He will be fine, right now the most important thing for Ninjutsu is Hakufu Sansaku, while taking out a cigarette and putting it in his mouth. This is why this mission is of the utmost importance, it cannot compare in any way to your punishments to Gakushu, said Saji. They lit the cigarette and the blue-haired girl spoke. What are you trying to say? She asked, annoyed. Mu-chan, you've never fought with Kane before, right? Said the blonde, exuding humor. Is it because you never had any chances? Or because I was avoiding it? Ryamu leaves the steel bar behind and a few meters away from the blonde, raising his arm, while two fingers were pointed at the apple of his throat. You want to die, Saji Genpu, said the blue-haired woman in a serious tone until the aforementioned man remained still. Sounds good, I would like you to kill me, Mu-chan, said the blonde with that shit-eating smile. Immediately after, the blue-haired girl leaves the roof, leaving the blonde alone and another guest arriving later. And he was a spiky black-haired boy with ribbons on his face, and his left arm was bandaged. The conversation between them was about to start. Meanwhile, in the halls of the academy, Issei and Hakufu quickly walked down the stairs to head to the cafeteria. Wait, Hakufu-chan, what's the rush? Said the brunette as the girl stepped forward. It's just that in the cafeteria there are yakisoba cheese rolls, said the orange-haired girl. Yakisoba cheese rolls? The brown-haired boy asked curiously. Yes, my cousin Kauken mentioned it to me last week, that those rolls are very popular, but there are not many, that's why they are known as the legendary lunch, answered Hakufu. Ah, I saw, said the brown-haired boy. While running through the halls of the academy, they met Ryamu, who was walking. The orange-haired girl stops to look at the girl out of curiosity, and she looked at her. On the other hand, the boy looked at the girl for a few seconds, but what caught his attention were two things. An eye patch on her left eye and some nice breasts that she had that matched her perfect body. Ryamu notices that the boy was looking at him and tilts his head to look at him, causing him to look away so as not to notice the girl's attributes of her. After that, the girl started to leave without saying anything. He has an eye patch, said the orange-haired girl. Yes, I think she had an accident, said Issei, watching the girl walk away. After that, the brown-haired girl and the orange-haired girl continued to the cafeteria. Luckily there were no more people. Some yakisoba cheese rolls, please, Hakufu shouted. Sorry, the rolls ran out while ago, said the saleswoman, making the girl cry comically while biting the collar of her shirt. The brown-haired boy watched as his friend Ella found herself in that state until he remembered something in his head. Ella. Of course, because I didn't notice, Issei thought. The Kufu-chan, come with me, he said as he grabbed her orange-haired girl's hand and then left the cafeteria to head to the classroom. Wait, Issei said. Hakufu was being delayed by the brown-haired boy. When they arrived at the classroom, the boy let go of the orange-haired girl's hand to go to his seat. He opened the briefcase and then took out a bento, then he walked to the girl to give it to her. Why are you giving me your food, Issei? Said the orange-haired girl, doubtful about the boy who gave her bento. You should eat it, Hakufu-chan, Issei said. But what will you eat? Said the orange-haired girl, worried that her friend wasn't going to eat anything. Don't worry, I'll buy myself a sandwich, Issei said calmly to Hakufu. Let's go, he said as he left the living room to go back to the cafeteria, followed by the orange-haired girl. On the other hand, Ryamu continued walking in the corridors while remembering Gakushu's words about Hakufu last night. Your attacks don't make me feel the same terror that I felt with Hakufu-sansaku's. That word made him tremble with rage. He didn't notice that someone was sitting on the edge of the window. The blue-haired girl opened her eyes to see a man hanging from the ceiling, wearing an orange jacket, black pants, shoes of the same color, and on his face, he had a maniac face. Kane, said the blue-haired girl with a serious look. I said Kane as he stuck out his tongue. I will kill Sansaku, he said when he took out his smartphone from his pants pocket to show a message to the boys. There it said the following. Imperial Decree. Execute Sansaku Hakufu in Jutsu Karo. In the halls. The students of the Nanyo Academy began to check their phones to read a message that had arrived. It said the following. Imperial Decree. And outside. All the boys had also received the same message, which they were fascinated by. Chapter 1. The Sadistic Warrior and the Decree at the Academy Part 2. Rooftop of Nanyo Academy. Saji had his cell phone in his hands looking at the message of the Imperial Decree of Injutsu. Let's see how he survives that. Issei Hyodou against a horde of fighters, and even Sanaku Hakufu, said the blonde with a cursed tone while looking at the ground at Kakushu, who was inconsistent. It was a bad idea, Gaku-chan, to come today in this state, said Saji indifferently. What happened some before the announcement of the Imperial Decree? Flash black. My god, Gaku-chan, you look horrible, said Saji looking at the black-haired boy with pity. Don't play with me, stupid, Kakushu growled. I heard that Injutsu called Kane from the mission he left him, said the black-haired man. Yes, the blonde said simply. It's strange that Injutsu called someone other than you. I haven't heard his voice for half a year, said Kakushu. En-chan said he would beat Tataku, Saji said with a shrug. It's normal for him to take precautions, he said in a relaxed tone regarding the situation. I can't beat Tataku with that uncertainty, Kakushu said politely. If you want to tell him something, I can ask permission so you can see him, okay? Said the blonde. Nobody will change even if I do it, said Kakushu. But he can't hide anymore. The one who bears the name of the Supreme Conqueror has appeared, he said until he opened his eyes a little. Did you give Kane any direct orders? The black-haired man asked with surprise. As I said before, to defeat Tataku, Saji said as his hair covered his eyes for a second and then revealed a slightly amused look. He wants to save himself worries in the future, using the same tone that is calm. I just want to know what Injutsu's direct order was, Kakushu exclaimed. Saji didn't answer, but walked slowly towards the black-haired man while using his palm to hit the black-haired man's brachial plexus. Haisho, Saji whispered. The blow landed on the affected part, the right side, where it caused immediate paralysis and shock, causing Kakushu to fall to his knees and then to fall to the ground, unsteady. Then flash black. Saji continued watching for a few more seconds and turned around to go to the door and open it. I'm sorry, Gaku-chan can't intervene in the Imperial Decree, even under those conditions, said Saji looking at the schoolyard where a battlefield will be later on. Let the hunt begin, said the blonde while giving her an evil smile. Later at the exit. Classes had ended and the students were beginning to leave the academy to head home. Issei and Hakufu walked calmly towards the exit. Well, the girl was happy when the boy next to her had given her bento, so she could enjoy the food at lunchtime. That food was delicious, Issei. Thank you, said the orange-haired girl in a happy tone. You're welcome, said the brunette with a calm smile. Hours ago in the cafeteria he saw how the girl ate the food from her bento to Ella animatedly when he disliked the sandwich he had bought from her. Who made your food? The orange-haired girl asked curiously. It was me. Since high school I prepared my own breakfast, lunch and dinner, answered the brown-haired Issei to the orange-haired girl's question. By the way, Hakufu-chan, what is your mom doing? Said Issei. Well, my mom's hobbies are tea ceremony and flower arrangements. She must be calm in Tokyo, said Hakufu very excitedly. I see, said the brown-haired boy while thinking about what he was going to prepare for lunch when he got to his apartment. "Ah, I forgot something," said the orange-haired girl, making the boy stop thinking. "You forgot something, Hakufu-chan," Issei said in a curious tone. "It's not very important," said the orange-haired girl while trying to remember. "I took it off during gym class and left it there," Hakufu said, scared. "Let it be," said the brown-haired man who was watching the girl turn around. "I'm going to look for him," said Hakufu as he began to run back to the academy, leaving the boy standing. Issei saw the girl who entered the academy. For the good things that happened that day, he saw the green-haired girl again for the second time on the train, and a brown-haired girl with good breasts that can rival those of her friend and the girl on the train. On the other hand, the green-haired girl told him about the Magatamas and the warriors. He found it doubtful when he saw the huge guy who had one of those in his left ear since he started studying here, and finally the blonde who had groped the orange-haired girl's breasts since he saw him. Then he appeared in the infirmary to return the girl's Magatama. Apparently she has a calm smile, but the boy does not trust that blonde at all. But suddenly the boy reacted quickly that the boys from the academy that were surrounding him did not know what was happening. He had not done anything wrong, nor had he gotten into trouble. Then he saw how one of the boys had in his hands a white sign with some letters that said, "Decree." "But what the hell?" said the brown-haired boy who watched as the boys approached his place. "Damn," I thought when he had a bad feeling about this. But Hakufu. The orange-haired girl had arrived at the gym locker, went to her locker, and opened it to look for something. "Let's see," said Hakufu as he searched around and then finally found his Magatama, which he has like an earring. "Here it is," he said as he grabbed the object to place it on his left ear. "Thank goodness I remembered. Mom would punish me again for losing my Magatama for the second time." As he left the gym locker room to go through the hallways, where someone was waiting for him who had a gun in his hand. "I found you, Hakufu-san," Saku said, a crazy voice making the orange-haired girl search everywhere to hear that voice. Back with Issei in the courtyard. The brown-haired boy was in a bad moment where he was. He saw how a man with a scarf on his head showed him a message on the screen of his phone that said, "Imperial Order. Imperial Decree. What is this all about?" Issei said, feeling fear inside. "I don't know, they just haven't given an order to defeat all the fighters in this academy," said the guy with the handkerchief. "That's also everyone gets into a fighting stance." "Because I haven't even done anything wrong," said Issei until he remembered something in his mind. The Kufu-chan exclaimed alarmed, but he had to cross the biggest obstacle that surrounded him. Back with Hakufu. The orange-haired girl saw on the roof a guy wearing an orange jacket from which he lets go and lands on the ground with two black rolls of his clothes, fixing the girl who was his target. Then the guy begins to lick his weapon with a deranged face. "That's disgusting," said Hakufu, feeling disgusted by what she was seeing, but her instincts told her that she had dodged any attack from this madman. The crazy boy launches himself towards the orange-haired girl, thus beginning their fight. Back with Issei versus the Horde fighters. The brown-haired boy dodged the blows of the boys from the academy since they started attacking him. "Wait, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want any trouble," Issei said as he waved his hands, trying to stop the situation without success. "I'm not interested in that," said to a boy who was trying to kick the brown-haired boy in the stomach, which he narrowly dodged. "Shit," said the brunette as another boy approaches with a baseball bat in his hand. He quickly ducks before it hits his head. "Ah, I have to find Hakufu-chan, I have to go in there, I don't want to get hit like that," he said when he got up. "It's now or never," I shouted and started running towards the academy, being chased by the boys from the academy. "Catch him," said one who had a wooden stick. "Bar quickly so he doesn't escape," said another one who was carrying chains. "Don't let him go," said one who was carrying a wooden sword. "How the hell will I get out of this?" Issei thought as he continued to dodge and avoid the boys' attacks. "Issei, concentrate on what you do, these people want to hit you for something you didn't do." Hakufu-chan said she would look for something when she had taken it away during gym class, then his mind processed quickly until he found an answer. "Of course, in the gym locker room," he said as he entered the academy. All this is seen by the blonde who is on the roof, who had his hands in his pants pockets and with a look between amused and arrogant. "You seem to be dodging well, Issei Hyodou, but I don't think you'll be saved from this when I'm there, so you don't interfere with this." "Well, it's time to start," said Saji as he began to leave the rooftop. Back with Hakufu versus Kani. The orange-haired girl began to dodge the attacks of the madman who did not give the girl a scratch. The guy launches an attack towards the orange-haired girl again, which she uses the classroom door as a shield. When the roller of this connected, the classroom door flew into the air and then fell to the ground, and part of the ground was filled with a mini crater from the hallway. "Why did you do that?" asked Hakufu, but this guy ignored the girl's words, licked his lips again, and then tried to do an upward kick straight at her. The orange-haired girl dodged the kick backwards, then hit the wall and fell to the ground. She saw how the guy tried to hit her with his weapon. Before he did, the girl jumped up, dodging the guy's attack, which formed a crater, then landed on the other side. The guy turned around to kick the girl's chest, she narrowly dodged it, but her white shirt and orange sweater were torn, revealing her pink bra. "Ah, my new uniform," said Hakufu, seeing the state of his clothes and then starting to get annoyed by the guy. "You're going to pay for this," he said as he pointed his hand at the madman. "Mom is going to punish me again." He saw the guy looking at him like he was crazy when he laughed. "But what's wrong with you?" said Hakufu in an angry tone. The madman did not respond. But the guy quickly attacked the girl, causing her to be exposed when her uniform was almost destroyed, from where the collar of her clothing was down to her waist. The orange-haired girl reacts to land on the ground. When he attacks again, she kicked the guy whose blow she stopped with her rollers. She opens her eyes because he stopped it without a problem. What she didn't expect is that the guy uses his right foot to hit the girl's stomach, causing the windows to break in the process by the shock wave. The lockers fell down as if they were a pile of dominoes. Then in the school hallway it was already a disaster. Hakufu is on the ground when she coughed in pain from the guy's blow. Her skirt was left, some pieces of her shirt are now destroyed, showing her breasts that are covered by her bra. "I'm going to kill you, Hakufu Hansaku," said the guy as he slowly approached the girl. "Who are you?" asked the orange-haired girl who is in pain. "Hane Kauka," said the guy who introduced himself. "Hane?" said Hakufu, barely able to speak. "One of the 4 divas?" he asked the guy again. "The next step is to find out with locals." "If that's what you want," said Hakufu as he began to get up. He got into a fighting stance. The guy attacks with his roller towards the girl's face, she dodges it on the other side and then turns around to kick the guy in the back, causing him to fall to the ground, skidding towards destroyed floors where he crashes heavily, creating a cloud of dust. "It was him who challenged me, so I had no choice, right Kauken?" said Hakufu as he looked at the cloud of dust the guy had crashed into. "What to say?" The brown-haired boy continued to run through the halls, while the boys still chased him without hesitation. "Damn, don't they get tired?" Issei thought in despair. On the other side of the hallways, the blue-haired girl walked normally with a serious look to look for the girl. Back with Hakufu versus Kani. The guy hits the ground with his rollers, forming a crater that the orange-haired girl had dodged before. He raises his deranged gaze, seeing the girl who is in a combat position. The Kufu launched a counter-attack to kick the madman, but he blocked it with some rolls. Back with Issei. The brown-haired boy was still in a hurry to find the orange-haired girl. Something bad would happen to her when she was in danger. Luckily for him, he had distanced himself a lot from his pursuers. He saw a cleaning room from which he had an idea. He opened it, entering quickly and then closing the door. Suddenly he heard the footsteps of the boys from the hallways from which they were still looking for him. "Damn, I escaped," said the guy who curses himself. "That kid is too smart," said another guy. "He runs faster than us and has dodged all of our attacks," said one with a rebellious face. "What if he's in the cafeteria?" asked one who is arrogant. "Maybe, let's go," said the one with the handkerchief as he headed to the cafeteria, followed by the boys. Issei sighed in relief when the boys were gone. He left the room to start running on the opposite side of the hallway. He was heading towards the stairs to go up to the upper floor, but before he got there he saw the blonde who was leaning on the wall with his right foot, which blocked his path. He reduced his speed and then stopped. "Saji," said the brown-haired boy in a voice annoyed to see how relaxed he was. "You are very worried about your friend, isn't it true? Those who interrupt the execution will be eliminated," said the blonde, pausing and then speaking. "I'm sorry Hyodou, but you won't go here because it's my duty to carry out the order," he said without losing his relaxed tone. "So this means that someone has been sent to eliminate Hakufu-chan, isn't it true?" said Issei. "If I remember correctly, you are one of the 4 divas if I am not mistaken," while trying to move forward. "Very sharp in your words, Issei Hyodou. Students like you are different in this," said Saji when he moved away from the wall. "Move aside, Saji, I don't have time for you to be playing with me," the brown-haired boy told me. "Do you want to force your death?" said the blonde as he pulled out his right hand and then his bones cracked. "Before you move forward you will have to face me if you succeed, Hyodou." Well, he got into a fighting stance. This is getting worse, Issei thought, seeing his new situation. Back with Hakufu versus Kani. The guy tries to hit the orange-haired girl, but what he didn't expect was that out of nowhere a kick hits him in the face and then he flies out, crashing into the destroyed wall again. The orange-haired girl turns around to see the blue-haired girl who had been watching him since lunchtime, where he was standing on an almost broken locker. "The Kufu-sansaku, I suppose," said the blue-haired girl as she looked at the girl she was curious about. On the other hand, in the crater, the guy was bleeding from his nose and mouth due to the blue-haired girl's strong kick from him. "He should have beaten you already," Raimu said as he adjusted his right glove. The guy gets up to hit the blue-haired girl, but she quickly swings to slide on the ground, kicking him in the left knee, causing him to lose balance and fall to the ground. "She's fast," Hakufu said in amazement. The guy looks up, but Raimu grabs him by the head with his right hand, which is on top of him. "You're not a fighter anymore," the blue-haired girl said with an almost maniacal smile. "So these," she said as she slammed him to the ground. The guy tried to grab the roller, but she grabbed it before him, then she raised the gun up. "Finished," he said when he gave the guy the final blow, causing some of her blood to splash across the ceiling. Meanwhile with Issei. We can see some blood on the wall. On the floor is the brown-haired boy who is face down with a pool of blood on his head, while the blonde is sitting on the stairs looking at the fallen boy with a smile. "Youth is nice," said Saji. "I envy you," in a sarcastic tone. Suddenly Gakushu reappears after losing a few hours unconscious on the rooftop. "What are you talking about, Saji?" said the black-haired man who appeared behind this one. "What are you up to?" I have asked seriously. "Plotting what, Gaku-chan?" Saji said confused. "Those orders are too irresponsible for the careful ninjutsu to have given them," Gakushu said. "Really?" said the blonde. "I can only think that you, his advisor, suggested it to him," said Gakushu annoyed. "No matter who thinks it, En-chan is the one who decides in the end," Saji replied. "Not only that, you have provoked Ryumu," Gakushu said as his anger increases. "I didn't provoke him," Saji said, trying to shift the blame. "Wu-chan was already worried before. Well, girls have a lot of things to think about," she set an excuse for Gakushu to believe it. Back with Hakufu. The guy was already unconscious on the ground with a little blood scattered. "Na is no longer able to carry out that order," said the blue-haired girl. "Therefore I, Ryumu-shime, as the only one of the 4 divas who is here at this moment, will ensure that the imperial decree is fulfilled," she said when she turned to look at the orange-haired girl sitting next to her. "My mission is to execute Hakufu Sansaku," while forming that sadistic smile. "The execute?" Hakufu said doubtfully and then forced a smile. "I don't know what that means, I'm so stupid." And yes, she must be stupid for not understanding what she heard from the blue-haired girl's words, which caused her to drop to come out on her head. On the other hand, somewhere in Issei's mind, the brunette teenager could be seen looking back at his childhood memories of him when he was scolded by his father of him. "Damn ungrateful brat," shouted at a man while kicking a small child who was lying on the ground. A severe action that could lead to imprisonment for a long time. In the Hyodou residence it was very common. Issei Hyodou was that 11-year-old boy, skinny and short in stature, with short brown hair and brown eyes. The reason for his beating him was his grades, a big 7 marked in red on his last exams. Being the son of a businessman, great things were expected of him. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" the woman exclaimed venomously. Her brother, Isamu Hyodou, brown eyes and long brown hair, his brothers were perfect, kind and compassionate, he never got angry. Except with the. "It seems that he took all the good things," he muttered to himself. "Go to your room, you're going to be without dinner, don't let this happen again," but that would be impossible. He left the place leaving Issei lying on the floor. Issei tried to get up only to fall again, he had a hard time moving, but this time he managed to get up. He cleaned his room, looked towards the dining room and saw the same thing as always. His parents congratulating Isamu while they tied happily, as if the beating his father gave him had never happened, or perhaps they were unaware of it. He slowly walked up the stairs and into his room, closing the door and staggering over to his bed, sat down on it and looked at his arms. They were purple in color and had a little blood on them. His face took on a look of disgust, he never got used to this. He decided to wash himself, he could still hear a bit of the conversation that was happening downstairs. He walked towards the bathroom while holding on to the wall so he wouldn't fall. Upon entering, he went to the sink and looked at himself in the mirror. Her face was swollen on the left side and blood was running down her nose, over her lips and dripping down her chin. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, and it was even painful to keep them open. He began to wash his hands and her face, turning the water red as it ran down his battered face. She felt tears running down her cheeks, mixing with water and blood, but she didn't pay attention to them. Her current Issei, that memory still hurts him with that mistreatment. "Haha, my parents are right, I'm not like my older brother, I will always be his shadow," said the brown-haired boy helplessly. Until he heard a familiar voice and saw another memory where he went to visit him. "Issei, I'm going to tell you something very important, pay close attention," said the older man. "Yes, Grandpa," said the little brown-haired boy, nodding his head. "Now listen to me, I'm going to tell you something that you already know. The world is not all joy and color, the world is a terrible place, and no matter how tough you are, it is capable of beating you to your knees and keeping you permanently subdued if you don't stop it. Neither you, nor I, nor anyone hits harder than life, but it doesn't matter how hard you hit, but how hard they can hit you. And you harden it while you move forward. You have to endure without stopping moving forward, that's how you win if you know what you're worth, go and get what you deserve, but you'll have to endure the blows, and you can't be saying that you're not where you wanted to be because of him, her or anyone else, that's what cowards do, and you're not one, you're capable of anything," said the man to his grandson. Both chestnuts had a glow and a flame of determination awakened within him. What do you mean, Grandpa Issei said innocently trying to understand. You are still too young to understand that message, but for a future situation, if you are in trouble, remember that Hyodou never gives up on you, said the old man while having a big smile. The man and the little brown-haired boy entered his house. Issei shed a few tears when he remembered what his grandfather said. Now I understand everything, Grandpa, what you told me as a child, I'm not going to let anyone kneel me down, and now you've shown who Issei Hyodou is, he said with absolute determination that his entire body began to glow red everywhere. Out of Issei's mind. Issei began to regain consciousness as he commented on slowly getting up. You're not done yet, Saji said the brunette in a high-pitched and imposing tone. Congratulations and Gakushu. It must be the same as your Gaku-chan said the blonde. Just like me? Gakushu asked the blonde. Maybe I want to have a terrifying experience, Saji replied. He probably wants to see if there is fear inside her, he said confidently. Are you afraid of Hikufu-sansaku? Said Gakushu. I think fear can be a glimmer of hope for us, Saji said. Back with Hikufu versus Ryamu. The blue-haired girl hits the orange-haired girl's face with her kick, which causes her to lose her balance, causing her to slide to her knees and then get up. Since you helped me I thought you would be a good person, said the orange-haired girl who is panting from exhaustion. What's wrong with you? I asked the blue-haired girl. I told you it's an execution order, Ryamu responded as he turns to kick the girl from which she quickly ducks before making contact with the blow. And I asked you, was it the execution? It's something you eat, said Hikufu as he gets up to punch the blue-haired girl with her right fist, but she grabs his wrist with her left hand while her right hand grabs him in the face. Ryamu then throws the girl causing her to roll and then crash into the door. The damage must have affected your nervous system as well as the central area of your brain, said the blue-haired girl who was looking at the girl on the ground. You won't be able to move for an hour and this girl is the ultimate conqueror, she said to herself. It was too easy, I just wasted my time on this, how depressing looking at his rival. Then the orange-haired girl begins to move, causing Ryamu to be stunned to see how she had a resistance that did not seem to affect her by the blow. How long has it been since I felt a pain like this? Said Hikufu as he sat down, rubbing the back of his head. It's almost the same as when mom hits me to get back into fighting stance. Meanwhile in the upper pasture. I'm sorry for her, but it will be a sacrifice, said the blonde as he walked. Wu-chan, that's it, he said like he let out a laugh until he stopped suddenly because he felt someone behind him. MNN. Surprised he turns around to see who it is, then his eyes open suddenly to see the person in front of him. How? Impossible, how did he get up after receiving my blows? Thought Saji as his entire body began to tremble with fear. It was none other than Issei Hyodou, who was standing there, still had the blood running down his face, but his bangs covered his eyes, giving it a touch of mystery. He raises his left arm and then out of nowhere to the blonde's surprise. Strong green glow from his left hand made Saji cover his eyes with his arms because of that light. After a few seconds after the light stopped, the blonde looked in an astonished state. The boy had on his forearm a red gauntlet with an emerald green jewel and golden horns. Then the atmosphere became heavy when a red-black aura was expelled from the boy's body, causing the blonde to fall to her knees. Why don't I feel my legs? Said Saji as his body began to tremble due to the heavy environment surrounding him. Suddenly he felt a metal grip on his head, then he looked up to see a great fear of how the boy looked at him seriously, but how terrified him the most were the emerald green eyes with very thin pupils, as if they were from a reptile. They were like a double-edged knife was crossing him. What kind of power does this boy have? He is much superior than the other W warriors, he thought when he felt a great fear that dominated him, and in the end a crimson dragon like the color of blood appeared that was behind the young man. And then a voice came from the jewel of the red gauntlet. Boost. I wasn't the only one who was feeling the sense of fear and another now. Kuoh Academy. We see a boy with long dark brown hair with bangs that reach his forehead, and he is only seen wearing a button-down shirt that he never buttons, black pants that he rolls up, and no shoes. He was lying on the ground sleeping, but now he just felt an unknown power from Nanyo Academy, while a smile was forming on his face because the dragon inside him was very excited. Kuoh Academy. Ryubi was also being that power from his temple in the forest. He did not know why all his body was shaking with fear while he was hugging herself. Also his dragon that is inside the chestnut wanted to come out to find that power. His companion tried to calm her down. Back with Hikufu versus Ryamu. Okay, this time I'll hit you back, said the orange-haired girl when she positions herself in her fighting stance. Just like the blue-haired girl, she swings her fist towards the girl's face which she dodges on the other side. This girl, is she really a level E? Ryamu thought as he dodged the orange-haired girl's kick. His strength and speed levels are not the same as before, but how many B levels have been able to withstand that impact? He said when he kicked the girl in the head, but the Kufu had blocked him with his arms. That soft kick is nothing compared to the kicks my mother gave me as punishment, said the orange-haired girl excitedly. Somewhere in Tokyo in a dojo a certain dark magenta-haired lady sneezed for a second when she was eating because someone had called her. The orange-haired girl quickly swings to slide on the ground, trying to kick the girl, but she dodges it when she jumps. Hey. How could I copy my attack in such a short time? Ryamu thought, increasingly annoyed. Now it's my turn, said Hakufu as he gets up to throw a punch at the girl, but she catches him on the wrist and then throws him to the ground, causing him to crash hard, creating some cracks. I hit him too hard, said the blue-haired girl while panting. Then he saw how the orange-haired girl got up from there. Ugh, that hurt, you're amazing, now I'm starting to cheer up, Hakufu said with a smile. I will fight you until the end. When he was about to launch his next attack. Even though the girl is injured, the adrenaline of the battle kept her standing, but at this rate, she will suffer a lot of damage from Ryamu's blows from her. When one of them is going to start fighting until. The powerful roar shook the entire Nanyo Academy, causing the girls to stop abruptly to quickly cover their ears from the loud sound, and within seconds the roar ceased. What is that roar, said the blue-haired girl who is confused when she heard that roar. What just happened? Said the orange-haired girl as she walked towards the window to see something that left her in shock when she saw her friend, the brown-haired boy, standing up, hurt, then falling to his knees and then falling to the ground. Issei said as she began to run through the halls, forgetting about the fight to help the boy. She was too injured and weak to do so, but it didn't matter, she was in a hurry to see her friend. While Ryamu, surprised, approached the window where the orange-haired girl was, when she arrived she saw the same boy she had seen since lunchtime, who was found passed out on the floor. It's the same boy from the hallway, was he the one who roared? The blue-haired girl told herself from what she was seeing until she noticed the red gauntlet. What is that gauntlet he has on his left arm? I had never seen it before, but I felt a strong energy emanating from it. It's like he had a power superior to that of other warriors, Ryamu thought, seeing Chestnut badly wounded. So Hakufu had arrived where the brown-haired boy was. She saw a red gauntlet on the boy's left arm. It began to disappear, causing the boy's arm to return to normal. Then she quickly leaned down to see how her friend Ella was doing. Issei, wake up, Issei, said the orange-haired girl in desperation when the boy was still unconscious. It was the first time she worried about the boy from whom she gave her bento on this day, and when she healed his wounds in the infirmary since yesterday. Then the brown-haired boy began to open his eyes slowly. He saw a blurry orange silhouette until when it cleared up he saw Hakufu, who had a worried face. Hakufu-chan. Issei said in a tired voice. When he tried to get up her body she began to hurt. Ugh, it hurts, he said in pain. You have a wound on your head, Issei, said the orange-haired girl in a worried tone. I'll take you to the infirmary, he said while helping him to lift the boy. He puts his arm around the young man's neck to hold him, then they walk slowly but normally towards the infirmary. Outside the Nanyo Academy was the green-haired girl who was leaning against the wall next to the entrance, since she felt the boy's power, and apparently he is very intimidating. It seems that Ice-kun has managed to awaken the power that he has been carrying dormant. You are certainly interesting, said Ryofu with an amused, almost perverted smile. At feeling the power of the boy he was beginning to become interested in, then he separated himself from the wall and then left. Nursing. The boys had arrived at the infirmary. Before going to the small room they had seen the academy boys who are injured, wounded, bruised and unconscious in the hallways. The walls are cracked, the windows are smashed with small glass pieces that are on the floor. Hakufu did not understand what happened. She thought it was another fighter, but when she saw her friend who had a red gauntlet, maybe he fought with the boys. Now she is sitting in a chair next to the bed, which was the brown-haired boy with a bandage on his head with some minor bruises. In a few minutes the boy opens his eyes. Then GG, what happened? Issei said as he began to regain consciousness. Ah, Issei, how good that you woke up, said the orange-haired girl with a relieved voice. The boy turns to see his friend. Hakufu-chan, said the brown-haired boy. Are you okay? She asked about her friend. Yes, I'm fine, but you were hurt, said Hakufu as he lowered his head a little sadly. Don't worry, Hakufu-chan, thanks for worrying me, Issei said with a calm smile. It seems that you woke up, boy, said a voice from the entrance of the infirmary, making the brown-haired and the orange-haired boy turn their heads to find Gakushu, who had his arms crossed. It's you, said Hakufu as he stood up from his chair and then pointed his hand at the huge guy. Pioneers? Issei asked seriously. I am Gakushu, one of the 4 divas of Nanyo, said the black-haired man when he introduced himself to the boy. I will share with you the Issei Hyodou, said school. Yes, who told you? Said Issei, who is doubtful why the huge subject told him his name. I learned about Gakushu and Hakufu. I saw, said the brown-haired boy until. Wait, you said you were one of the 4 divas, he said incredulously. Yes, in person, said Gakushu. Just like Saji, Issei said in a whisper at mentioning the blonde. What happened to Saji? Issei asked. He is very hurt, it seems he can't stop shaking from fear, said Gakushu as he saw the very scared blonde. Do you know who hit him? Issei asked. Gakushu answered the brown-haired boy, causing him to become confused. Hakufu looked at his friend with curiosity. Issei said, pointing at himself with his finger. You've swept his floor, said Gakushu. Just like the boys who are unconscious in the hallway, he said, impressed to see a boy without any magatamas defeat all the school fighters. Are you serious? Said the orange-haired girl who was excited by what she heard. Issei, have you fought with them? She asked excitedly. I don't understand, when I was going to look for Hakufu-chan I met Saji on the stairs, he hit me a few times, and I finally fainted, said Issei, making Gakushu look at him suspiciously. It seems that a dormant power awakened within you when you used that strange gauntlet on your left arm, said Gakushu, watching as the boy looked at his left hand. It's true, I saw that you had that strange artifact, but it disappears as if it were magic, said Hakufu, remembering when he saw the boy's gauntlet since he found it on the ground. Is that what happened to me? Said the brown-haired boy while opening and closing his left hand. Changing the subject, who was the one who ordered the imperial decree? Issei said seriously. Ninjutsu, he was the one who organized all this, said Gakushu, answering Brown's question. It's because they want to execute Hakufu-chan, right? Said Issei, receiving a nod from Gakushu. Why would I must find out more about this ninjutsu, I thought. Then he got out of bed to walk to the exit of the room. Wait, Issei, where are you going? Hakufu said in a worried tone. Going home, do you want to accompany me? Said the brown-haired boy, making the girl a nod. Then they began to leave the infirmary, leaving Gakushu who is with his arms by the entrance. That power that boy has is very intimidating, thought Gakushu as he watched the boys walk away from the hallways. Through the streets of Nanyo. Night. The brown-haired boy and the orange-haired girl were walking through the streets of the city. Many things have happened on this day. The boy saw the girl's uniform that was destroyed, revealing her pink bra that covered her breasts. Someone could see the girl's destroyed clothes with looks of lust. How will I tell mom about my uniform? Said Hakufu, who is discouraged by seeing her clothes that are a mess. Suddenly the boy had an idea in mind. I know, I have a friend who can get another one, Issei said, making the girl look at him. Really? Said the hopeful orange-haired girl. Of course, Ella, she's a seamstress. Ella, she can fix your clothes, said the brown-haired boy with a smile. Thank you, Issei, thank you, mom won't punish me now, said Hakufu as she grabbed the boy's hands and then jumped for joy, making her breasts bounce up and down. Wow, I never got tired of this. Apparently I was lucky to have Hakufu-chan as a friend, Issei thought, until he got sad for saying the last word. The girl saw how the boy was in that state and then stopped jumping. What's wrong, Issei? Said the orange-haired woman, who is doubtful seeing the boy's expression. Nothing, it's nothing, Hakufu-chan, said the brown-haired boy when he recovered. You should cover yourself with this, he said as he took off his orange sweater and then handed it to the girl. Why? Hakufu asked doubtfully. It's because your shirt is torn, Issei said, looking away as he scratched his cheek with his index finger. Ah, I see, said the orange-haired girl as she puts on the boy's sweater and it seems to fit her well. Hakufu-chan, what did you go looking for in the locker room? The brown-haired boy asked. I was going to pick up my magatama when I was going to leave. A crazy and very unpleasant subject attacked me. Apparently it was one of the divas, then I had to fight against him. Suddenly the girl with an eye patch appeared when she hit that crazy man, and then she attacked me when she said it was an execution order, answered Hakufu. The girl has been in the hallways since lunchtime, Issei thought as he remembered the girl. And do you know her name? Said the brown-haired boy as he continued walking. Her name was Ryumushime, one of the 4 divas, said the orange-haired girl as she placed her hand on her chin. She is also one of the 4 divas, Issei thought at the new information. For now we will leave things for later, she said to her friend, who agreed. As they walked through the streets, a rather beautiful slim girl walked past the boy. Apparently her current age is 17, her height is 172 centimeters 5'7", her skin is brown almost like the color of cinnamon, she had bangs that covered her left eye, long purple hair that goes all the way to her feet, ending with it being held together by a small ring, blue eyes. She is wearing a white shirt so short and exhibitionist with blue trim, leaving her belly button exposed, that would most likely leave men bleeding everywhere from her beauty, red fingerless gloves, blue skirt, long stockings that reach to her knees and dark brown shoes, in her hands a silver cane, but the tip is wrapped in a green cloth. Measurements: chest 94, waist 60, hips 91. When he crossed paths with the brown-haired boy he stopped for a moment, turned around to look at the boy who was walking away. It seemed that he noticed something. That aura, it must be him, the girl thought as she watched the boy accompanied by her friend as they walked away. Train station. Well, Hakufu-chan, I have to go home, said Issei. See you later, he said as he turned around to continue on his way, until. Wait, Hakufu said in a scream when the boy stopped, making him turn his head to look at her. Tomorrow I'm free, so I'll give you my apartment number, she said as she approached the boy to give him an address card, which he accepted. See you later, Issei. After that he says goodbye to the brown-haired boy, turns around to continue his way home, while the boy watched him leave from there. Issei sighs in relief at how well the girl is. Things have happened at the Nanyo Academy since he started studying in this region. What worries him is that she may be in danger. Well, she knows how to fight, but there are stronger people who would finish off the girl. He looked at his left hand. Gakushu had told him that he had a power inside him. He didn't know what happened after he fainted. He would find out later. MNN, so I have a power inside me, huh? The brown-haired boy said to himself and then closed his hand to form a fist. I have decided, I will use this power to protect Hakufu-chan, he said with a determined voice, then he turned around to continue on his way. Things are about to get very interesting for the boy. Inside his body, a very powerful being had awakened that he would face everything that stands in his way. It was time for this region to know that this boy would use that power to protect those that are important to him and face a more dangerous enemy that has ever existed, and for now the main moment has already begun. Clarification after Chapter 1 in Issei's harem. The relationship between Issei and Hakufu and Ryofu will be built in the following chapters. It was Issei's first test of fire against a horde of fighters. The first confrontation between Hakufu and Kani has not resulted due to the interruption of Ryomu, who will take the place of the madman. Issei and Solly Human Razor look at each other face to face, but he went for blonde. The trigger for awakening the boosted gear were Juzo's words when they were children. Saji was about to go, but he turned to see Issei with the boosted gear activated. The aura of the boosted gear caught the interest of the rival academy. The blonde did not end up in a beating, but a kind of fear towards Issei. Chapter 2. The Awakening of the Red Dragon Emperor Part 1. Hours after the power explosion in Kanto, far from Japan. For those living on Hagen Island, an unknown island located off the far coast of Japan and hidden from the outside world using fighting techniques. The natives who lived on this island never experienced the luxurious life they desired, and around the island, there were children and adults of all ages who were currently working in the fields of the island and were forced to grow their food to survive. Most of them at this age would normally appear to be tired, but at this point, they were already used to this kind of work. Wrapped tightly around their wrist was a bracelet concocted using magic. These bracelets were placed on them to keep them under control. They all knew that this was the only option they had, especially since none of them had parents or families looking for them. They were abandoned or even sold for money. If you still want to bet on who you think will win, you'd better hurry before the match starts. The children could hear the sound of the announcer from where they were in the middle of this island. There was a town where they could find opportunities to earn money by doing jobs and buying everything they needed. Integrated into this city was a circular stadium with different holographic screens floating in front of them with the stadium in view. Those who filled the stands were adults, mainly middle-aged men. Most of them gave off a different kind of presence that didn't seem to belong to any normal human, but a good number of them were in fact humans with an unusual aura covering their bodies. For the townspeople forced to live on this island, there were only two methods to earn money or to live. One of them was to work in the villages, grow their food, and then the fastest way was to fight in this tournament. The Gehenna Tournament. An underground tournament held in the human world where individuals gather the best with special powers and have them fight either each other or monsters with bets placed on the victor, along with certain people paying to watch this tournament firsthand. This place is perfect for those obsessed with their greed. Hello our beloved audience, welcome back to our wonderful tournament. Today we have our favorite of the house. Inside a dimly lit hallway leading towards the spacious tournament ring, walking towards the light at the end of the hallway, an elderly man finally stepped out for the entire stadium to see. He was an old man of relatively tall stature with a very strong and defined build and tanned skin. Two of his most distinctive features are his round glasses and facial hair, which he arranges close to his lower jaw, and he also has a scar over his right eye, which he has had for many years wearing combat clothing, but which did not hinder his movements. Please welcome one of our favorite fighters to Gehenna. Issei Hyodou. Issei walked up the ring steps and into the arena for the entire stadium to see. Most of those in the stadium cheered loudly at the sight of him, while some looked at him with questioning gazes. Is that your fighter? From the information they have on him, he is Kyukaku's student who specializes in killing with his supreme technique of Chinese Kenpo. Is this some kind of joke? If I had a sacred gear, then it might have been interesting. Some people who were new to this type of game laughed at the idea of Issei even competing. Even though they gathered human and supernatural fighters to work in the fields, those still had the chance to compete in the Gehenna tournament to earn more money. Well, without further ado, let's get this started. As the announcer said that, 3 openings opened around the stadium he was standing in, and a mechanical sound could be heard from each one. Appearing before him was a single monster larger than him. It was a creature with the face and body of a lion, although with 3 horns, but with at least 3 rows of teeth as sharp as a shark. Its tail resembled that of a scorpion and wings that looked almost like bat wings. Just look at their opponents, the legendary beast, the vicious manticore. Following his order, a wide barrier was erected around the ring, ensuring that none of the combatants could leave the arena. Now the battle begins. After saying that, the inside of the stage changed to a different environment around it, to a wide green area, as if following the announcer's signal to begin. The manticore charged towards Juzo at high speeds, using all 4 of its limbs. Following his movements, the old man quickly dodged his charge towards him by moving to the left, but once he did that, the manticore reacted by directing his scorpion tail towards him almost like a whip. As his feet had yet to touch the ground, there was no way for it to move out of the way. Juzo soon crossed his arms and blocked the tail whip. He could feel the pain of the impact of his tail transmitting throughout his body, but he found himself dealing with the pain by gritting his teeth tightly. The elder Hyodou pressed his foot against the ground in an attempt to stop himself. Once he finally stopped from moving, he looked ahead and noticed that the manticore had vanished. Looking at the ground, Juzo noticed the larger shadow that almost enveloped him directing his head upwards. The albino pressed his foot against the ground, moving away from his previous position. A great amount of force was generated when landing on the ground, something he could feel from where he was. The manticore stinged him. Juzo reacted in time by blocking the tip of his stinger using the flat part of his left hand and altering the path of his stinger so that he sank deep into the ground. The manticore made several attempts to pull out its stinger. Seeing that he was unable to move any further, the old man pressed his foot against the ground and charged towards the manticore. Ooh. He let out a painful cry as Juzo hit him in both eyes with the sole of his feet, temporarily blinding him for at least a couple of seconds. Feeling like his scorpion tail had broken free from the sand, he tried to move his tail frantically, trying to hit Elder Hyodou. Although with each of his attempts he dodged or deflected with his arms, but when he did, he swung his tail back and aimed the stinger at the back of his neck. It seemed as if Juzo's arm could reach it in time to block or dodge it. The next move he made shocked those in the stands. Without hesitation, the albino held his hand so tightly the stinger while hands were gripped tighter. Blood began to seep out of the monster. Clenching his teeth a little from the pain, Juzo soon fixed his stance, grabbed with more pressure, and ripped upwards. Then. Roar. The albino immediately cut off the base of his stinger, sending it into the air. Jets of purple blood shot out from the wound. He could not recover from the loss of this body part. Seeing the opportunity, Juzo jumped into the air and with a kick towards the head of the manticore, killing it instantly. After witnessing old Hyodou killing this manticore, the sand remained silent for a second before they erupted into a roar of cheers. Amazing Juzo Hyodou, our favorite house, has achieved another victory against his opponent. I don't think those cheers are enough louder, and I'm. At the referee's request, the crowd began to cheer louder for him. Although there were some of the fighters like him who enjoyed the cheers of the crowd, Juzo had a big smile of victory. He had another thought about the awakening of Issei's power, which he felt him do a few moments ago. Well done, Issei, releasing all that dormant potential in your body, and I just hope you use all my knowledge that I left you somewhere on Kuoh Mountain for. Now I'm not going to return to the city since I have pending business to do, thought Juzo while listening to the screams of the people on the island. How? Ramen stand. The boy had arrived at his hometown. Now he was at a ramen stand to take some ramen because of the situation that happened a few hours ago at the Nanyo Academy. Hey Tucci, do you have ramen, said Issei, who was at the bar. Hello Issei, what are you ordering today? Said the owner of the place. The chicken ramen, said the brown-haired boy. Understood, are you going to eat it here or take it away? Tucci asked Issei. The takeaway, answered the brown-haired man. Your order won't take long, said the man who began to prepare. Shit, I don't have my cell phone to contact Ika to help me with the situation I'm in, Issei thought with concern. A few minutes later, Tucci had handed him his order of the chestnut and took out his wallet to pay for the ramen. Issei says goodbye to the ramen owner and now goes to his apartment to have his late meal. When he arrived at his apartment, the first thing he did was give him a bath and then have dinner with his chicken ramen calmly. After finishing his dinner, he threw the box of ramen in the trash and then went to his bedroom to sleep. Issei's mind. The boy was in a dark space. He didn't know how he got there alone when he ate his dinner, and then he went to sleep in his room. Surprised, he began to look around to see if he found someone there, but there was nothing, just a lot of darkness. Where am I? Issei asked as he searched for someone in the darkness but found it impossible. Hello, is there someone there? He said loudly. Wow, I got a rookie, said an intense voice of curiosity with a low volume, making the boy track that voice. Who said that? Said the brown-haired boy, a little fearful. The voice told me. Suddenly the place lit up a scorching fire, causing the boy to cover his eyes with his left arm. When it stopped, the young man opened his eyes when he saw a giant being that appears right in front of him. He has big emerald green eyes, a jaw that reaches his ears where they have large sharp fangs, a thick horn that is aligned on his forehead, and scales that cover his body in a crimson color like blood. His arms and legs are thick like a gigantic tree, his curved claws are too sharp, and finally two giant wings that extended on the sides. In front of the boy was a dragon. "Who are you?" Issei asked nervously. "I am the being that was feared by the gods and mass of the underworld during the War of the Three Factions, one of the celestial dragons that stole the principles of domination from the biblical god. My name is Drag, the Seker, or you could call me the Red Emperor Dragon," said the Red Dragon when introducing himself to the boy. "Drag the Red Dragon Emperor," said the brown-haired boy in a curious tone. "That's right, I'm finally able to appear in front of you," said Drag as he looked at the boy who was shaking a little. "Calm down, boy, don't be scared. I never thought you could get in touch with me so soon. Even though you are a human, you have awakened the potential that you have been carrying dormant. The power that I have awakened and the strange gauntlet that I had on my left arm, it was you," Issei said with a curious tone. "Yes, the red gauntlet you have is a sacred gear," said the Red Dragon. "Sacred gear?" the brown-haired boy asked, not understanding the word sacred gear. Sacred gear is an irregular power that is granted to certain humans. For example, most of the people whose names are recorded in history are said to be possessors of sacred gears. They use the power of their sacred gear to record their name in history. In the present, there are people who possess sacred gears in their bodies. Most sacred gears have functions that are only usable in human society. But there are exceptional sacred gears that are a threat to devils, angels and fallen angels. "Do you know about the War of the Three Fractions?" He began to tell the origin story of the sacred gear to Chestnut. "No, it's hard to understand, but I'm getting interested," Issei said as he sat down to listen to that story. "Well, since the ancient times of the supernatural world, there were three factions: the demons, the angels and the fallen angels fought each other for the possession of the underworld, which is also known as the hell of the human world. The underworld is divided into two areas, one that belongs to the demons and the other to the fallen. The demons form pacts with humans, receive their sacrifice and increase their abilities such as strength, speed and power. The fallen angels, on the other hand, control humans to eliminate demons. And finally, the angels come from the heavens to destroy both races by orders of God, forming the three forces," said Drake about the three factions. "It must be a very hard war," said the brown-haired boy, extremely interested in the subject. "It was," said the Red Dragon. "What is the name of the sacred gear I have on my arm?" Issei asked, pointing to his left arm. "Booster gear is a longinus that can obtain the power that surpasses God and the Demon King for a certain time. Its ability can double the power of the wearer every 10 seconds and can reach that of a high-class demon, as well as an elite of the fallen angels, and by mastering it could even kill God," answered Drake, causing the boy to open his eyes wide. "Are you serious? I can defeat a god with this gauntlet I have?" exclaimed the brunette, who was still in disbelief. "That's right," the Red Dragon said proudly. "How did you end up like this?" Issei said doubtfully. "Me and the White One were fighting each other. We caused a lot of damage since the Second War. The God and the Demon King joined forces to defeat us, and the result was that we were sealed inside the sacred gear," Drake replied, remembering his moment of fighting before he was sealed. "I see," said the brown-haired boy when he understood the dragon's words. "Could you tell me your name, boy?" said the celestial dragon to Chestnut. Issei Hyodou said as he stood up to appear before the celestial dragon. "Nice to meet you. From now on we are a team partner," said the Red Dragon. "Thank you, Drake," Issei said with a smile. "We'll talk later, buddy, and you should wake up because the day has already dawned," said the Red Dragon as he began to fall asleep. "Of course," he said the brown-haired boy as he closed his eyes. "Real world." The brown-haired boy opens his eyes lazily as he yawns, rubbing his vision of him to remove the sleep he had and looking at his alarm clock to see the time. 8 a.m. How early, Issei said to himself as he got up from his bed while stretching his arms until he remembered something. So it was a dream, he thought as he began to walk out of the room, but not before taking the towel to place it on his left shoulder. Luckily for the boy, there will be no classes today because yesterday afternoon the teachers had told their students that they had a personal meeting or council in 3 days, which is why he is free from studying. The boy went to the bathroom to brush his teeth while taking off his clothes to take a shower. After 5 minutes he comes out of the bathroom with a towel tied around his waist to return to his room. He went to the closet to get some clothes. He puts on a white flannel and then puts on a red shirt, black pants and shoes of the same color with white and red lines. When he was already dressed he left the room to go to the kitchen to prepare his usual breakfast. Issei finishes his breakfast and picks up his dishes to wash before leaving the apartment. Once he has finished washing he left everything clean and goes to the door to leave before closing the main entrance. Train destination: Nanyo. The boy is sitting in the train seat, looking at his left hand, remembering the words that the red dragon had said in his dream. It is too confusing to hear the story of the three fractions, where demons, angels and fallen angels had fought since ancient times. The surprising thing about this is because he has a long eyeness of one of the celestial dragons that is sealed within the sacred gear. The booster gear, the main ability of this, can double the power of the wearer in 10 seconds in human time and can reach the potential to kill a god or a Mao. It seemed incredible to him because of how he complained about the supernatural story, but there are many things to discover on his way. The young man stopped thinking when the train stopped at the station. He got up from his seat and then got off the train before the doors closed and then walked to another station. In his pants pocket, he took out the address card that the orange-haired girl had given him last night. He read the location and then began to continue on his way. After 10 minutes he arrived at a very large building. He went inside to take the elevator to get to the 15th floor, and when he came out he went to the address of Hikufu's apartment. The Kufu department. Issei was in front of the door of his friend's apartment. He knocked on the entrance to wait for her to open it, but he heard nothing. Surprised, he knocked on the door again, and then as always he heard nothing. It was as if she wasn't there. The boy sighed and then leaned against the wall next to the entrance to wait for her. "Hey young man, who are you looking for?" said a woman's voice, making the boy look at a 34-year-old lady with short black hair, wearing an office worker's outfit and carrying bags of food in her hands. "The Hikufu-san Saku," said the brown-haired boy in a calm tone. "The Kufu-chan," said the woman when she remembered that name until she spoke. "Oh, I remember, you're her boyfriend," said the woman in a mischievous tone to our protagonist. "And no, I'm just his friend and classmate from Nanyo Academy," said Issei, as he tilted his head to the other side, with a slight blush on his cheeks at the analogy the woman had said, although he didn't think it was such a bad idea. Then he recomposed himself to speak. "Is she here?" I asked the office worker. "She is not in her apartment, she left a few hours earlier," the office worker replied. "Did Hikufu-chan say anything to you?" Issei asked. "Yes, she had told me that I will go console my broken heart. It was like she got depressed for having lost a fight or something like that. It must be that she had not eaten since the morning," answered the office woman to the brunette. "It could be because of the fight he had with Raimu," Issei thought as he separated from the wall. "Thank you," he said as he began to leave the building's hallways. "Where are you, Hikufu-chan?" he said in a low tone. "Nanyo Hospital nursing. Saji's nightmare." We can see the blonde who was on his knees as he trembled in fear from the upper hallway of the Nanyo Academy, while the brown-haired boy looked at him seriously with his emerald green eyes as he grabbed his head with a red gauntlet on his left forearm. Boost. Burst. The voice that came out of the red gauntlet dueled due to a very loud sound. A green energy began to flow into the boy's body, tightening the grip on the blonde's head and then lifting him up as if he were a rag doll and then slamming him hard against the floor, creating a large crater, causing a shock wave to break the windows into pieces, while small glass pieces fell to the floor in the process. Issei raises it again to look at the blonde who has the blood running quickly down his face. Due to the little consciousness he had left, he still could not get over his great fear of what he found, and in the end, the boy releases it in mid-air to prepare a powerful blow with his red gauntlet forming into a fist and then hitting him in the chest. So strong that this attack broke some of his ribs, sending him to the wall from which it breaks, making a large hole in it, leaving the blonde was very injured and then fainting. End of the nightmare. "Ah," said the blonde when he suddenly opened his eyes while breathing frankly from the dream he had. He was in the infirmary bed. He has a bandage on his head. His foot and right arm are covered by a white cast. It seems that his bones are broken. "Am I circa N''T get it out of my mind. I do N''T know that red dragon, but it's more dangerous for me," he said when his body began to tremble because of what happened yesterday. "Wow," said a female voice from the entrance of the infirmary, making the blonde turn his head to find the blue-haired girl with her arms crossed. "You're more hurt than usual, Saji," said Raimu, seeing the pitiful state of the blonde. "Wu-chan, have you come to visit me?" Saji asked. "It depends, I guess that boy has swept your floor with you," said the blue-haired girl in a sarcastic tone. "You just came to make fun of me," said the blonde in an annoying tone while tilting his head to the other side. "No, I just came to see how you are," Raimu said in her normal tone. "A little bit fine," the doctor said. "I have some fractured ribs, broken bones, but I've also had very serious physical injuries, and I've received a mental shock," Saji reported, lying down. "I will recover in less than 4 months," he finished his medical report to the blue-haired girl. "It seems like you won't be attending Nanyo Academy," Raimu said. "Of course I do," said the blonde in a defeated tone. "I also heard that Yashu Academy has been defeated," he said curiously. "Itaku," Raimu said in an annoyed tone upon hearing that name, but then calmed down. "When I recover I'll be out of the Kanto region," said Saji, making the girl look at him with a doubtful expression. "Wu-chan, I will leave Nanyo in your hands," he said as a direct order. The girl didn't say anything, she just started to leave the infirmary, leaving the blonde in her bed, and when she walked away from the hallways, she remembered what happened yesterday. I must know that power of the red gauntlet that boy has. Issei Hyodou, I must look for him tomorrow, Ryamu thought as he left the hospital. While in the room. I'll have to pay Tataku a visit, the blonde said as he looked at the orchids on a small table. In the streets of Nanyo. The brown-haired boy was walking through the streets of Nanyo to look for the girl until he heard something. Said Issei when he heard a voice that was familiar to him. I'm hungry, I shouldn't have left the apartment before breakfast, said the orange-haired girl as she walked on the other side of the street. She was wearing a violet one-piece dress, the same clothes she had worn since she appeared at the entrance of the Nanyo Academy, and she was carrying her black and red travel bag. Suddenly 2 men approached her. The boy came closer so he could listen to the conversation. Hey, you're alone, right? Said one with afro hair, but the girl wasn't paying attention. Beautiful, may I ask you your size? Said the other one with the spiky hair and a goatee on his chin, but the girl omitted those words. The brown-haired boy watched as those 2 men looked at Akufu's breasts with lustful faces. It was obvious that they were not looking at her eyes or her face, but at her attributes. The orange-haired girl continued on her way, leaving the 2 of them standing there looking like idiots. I should have taken my wallet, Hakufu said tiredly. That girl is an idiot, said the pointy-haired guy, making the boy upset by the insult that guy said. Who do you care? Said the afro-haired guy, annoyed. It's hard to escape a girl with nice breasts, he said as he approached the girl with his friend. Need support, buddy? Said the red dragon from the boy's mind. Drag? Issei said when he recognized the heavenly dragon's voice. Those fools are trying to talk to the girl, but this time I'll help you with your little problem, said Drag in a serious tone. Okay, I'm counting on you, said the brown-haired boy seriously and angry. Hey, come on, we just want to talk to you, said the spiky-haired guy. Have you Diza, said the afro-haired man, but was interrupted by the girl. Issei Hakufu said as she screamed upon seeing her friend a few meters in front of her. Hello Hakufu-chan, said the brown-haired boy as he welcomed the girl. Hey idiot, we saw it first, said the spiky-haired guy with an annoyed look. That's right, get out of here if you don't want us to hurt you, said the afro-haired man in a superior tone. No, Issei said in a serious tone. If that's what you want, brat, take this, said the spiky-haired guy as he lunged with his fist to hit the brown-haired boy. Be careful, Issei said the orange-haired girl in a worried tone. For his part, the boy was still. Since then he began to feel like everything around him was becoming slower, like in slow motion. With a small effort he took a step to the right to dodge the fist, and then he crouched down, elbowing the subject in the stomach, and then with his left foot, sending him flying 2 blocks until he crashed into the wall of a building. When time began to run normally again, the afro-haired subject began to shake like jelly. He swore he saw a crimson dragon behind the boy, giving him a death stare with its emerald green eyes. He fled from there like the devil was after him while he peeled his pants. Ahaha, never in my time during the war have I seen that idiot get scared. You are definitely special, mate, said the red dragon as he looked with amusement at what happened. Thanks Drag, what was that when everything went slow around me? Said the brown-haired boy looking at the aggressors scared. That's it buddy, that's when you sharpened your reflexes, but you need to handle the booster gear just to be safe. You'll have to perfect it because of what I used a bit of my power to transfer to your body, said Celestial Dragon. Well, I'll go back to sleep, buddy, he said when his bearer cut off the conversation. That was amazing, Issei said Hakufu as he looked at the boy with stars in his eyes. Apparently he was excited because he had kicked the guy with great force. How did you do it? I asked excitedly. Well I don't know, but it's because I learned it when you beat Yakushu from the academy, answered Issei while scratching the back of his head. It's the first time I've seen a kick so strong that it's very different from mine, said the orange-haired girl as she watched an ambulance go by heading to where the boy sent the sharp-pointed man until. Brewer. His stomach grew louder causing him to feel embarrassed as he lowered his head while clutching his stomach. You look like you're starving, the brown-haired boy said with a smile. Let's go get something to eat, do you want to eat? He said when his friend raised her head to look at him. Really? Hakufu said hopefully as she saw the boy nod his head. Yes, let's go, Issei, she said with a tone of joy as she took the boy's hand and then began to drag him through the streets of Nanyo. After a few minutes, the brown-haired boy convinced the orange-haired boy not to drag him. After that they walked calmly, but what the young men didn't realize was that a girl was watching him from the roof of a building. Nanyo Academy. In a dark room. In a dark place is the crazy guy who is drinking water from a tap. When he finishes it his mouth dries. The Kufusan Saku Raimu Shimae learn the local type. The order has been revoked, said Gakushu who appeared behind the guy. So forget about it, Ken-A, said the black-haired man seriously. If you get in my way, I'll kill you, said the crazy guy as he ignored Gakushu's words while pointing at him with his hand. I. Said Gakushu as if he had heard a bad joke. I don't think you have the courage to kill someone, he said in a disappointed tone. I can do it if I'm serious, Kanny said in a crazy tone when she remembered how the blue-haired girl hit her head with the roller and then ran out the door. It's finished, said Gakushu, seeing the crazy guy leave the room. Pizza shop. Issei and Hakufu arrived at the pizzeria. They went to order a family pizza. The boy ate his slice of pizza with his drink, while the girl, quickly ate her slice of pizza. It's delicious, said the orange-haired girl as she took a bite of the piece of pizza. Wow, she must be very hungry, she thought the brown-haired boy until he started to speak. Hakufu-chan, do you know about the 4 divas? Started a conversation. Yeah, I know a little about that, Hakufu said as he took another pizza. You can tell me, Issei said with more interest in the topic of the 4 divas. What for? Asked the orange-haired girl, who was doubtful. Out of curiosity, the brown-haired boy replied while taking a sip of his drink. Okay, Kaken told me that there are 4 divas in Nanyo, and these are the strongest fighters in the academy, apart from that there is Tataku, said Hakufu, remembering what his cousin had told him. Tataku? Said the brown-haired boy, hearing a new unknown name for him. That's right, he is the leader of the Kuoh Academy. The surrounding academies were destroyed, and everyone was forced to obey orders because of Tataku. Those who were against him have been uniting him. The Kuoh Academy became the force to rule over the academies in a conflict in the Kanto region, among them this Nanyo, said the orange-haired girl, as she put her index finger on her chin. I have a bad feeling about this, Issei thought seriously as he listened more to the situation he found himself in now. I see, said the brown-haired boy as he took another drink of his dew. Yes, from what I know he's very strong. I'd like to fight him, said Hakufu in a happy tone while eating the pizza, causing a drop to come out on the boy's head. Ah, fool, she can't face Tataku alone. It may be brave of her, but it will only make the situation worse where she is now. Not only is Tataku there, but also that Injutsu guy, and to make matters worse, here on our academy, there is also Saji, but he is very hurt because of what happened yesterday. I must know more about this. I will protect Hakufu-chan so that she does not die from the plans that Injutsu is going to make. I just hope that she doesn't get hurt, Issei thought with a worried tone until he spoke. Do you know more about that? Asking the last question. No, I'm sorry, that's all Kaken told me, the orange-haired woman eating her last slice of her. That's enough, thought the brown-haired boy as he noticed that there was no pizza on the table, so the girl had eaten it all. Well, it's time to go. Do you want me to accompany you to your apartment? He said in a gentlemanly tone to the girl. Of course, he said. Hakufu accepted like a girl. Let's go, said Issei as he got up from the chair as he did the orange-haired girl to leave the pizzeria, but not before paying the waitress. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.